Title 1. What the fuck did I get myself into?
You knew this was coming.
All right. Hi. We have a full panel today.
Yay!
So we have Muha, Ron, and we have Chris from way back in the day. For those who have been with us for the last 9 years.
Sure.
What's
Uh,
up, Matt?
What is
The fanfic guy remembers.
the fanfic guy.
Do I want to know?
About that?
Oh, Chris, you don't
fanfic
know,
writer.
man. We got fan fiction written about us.
Oh dear God.
Yep, it exists. It's completely real.
It's not as slashy as you might be afraid of, but it's still out there. It's a thing.
It is entertaining. So anyway, and we're here to talk about what I have been dreading for the last 3 years: Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut.
What you've been in denial of for a while. I still remember, like last year, I was like, Snyder Cut, and you said it's not going to happen. I said, you didn't hear, did you?
See,
you didn't hear about HBO.
See, and the whole time I've been in LA and I knew it was happening.
Yeah. Well, that's a reputation
All right,
of
industry,
me making a prediction, me going, there's no way, and then 5 years later, I'm sitting here going, fuck! Because he did it with the X-Men and Fantastic Four. He's like, they're going to buy it from Fox. They're going to
You know what?
Yep.
As long as we're with the whole comic book movie thing, can you do me a favor and just state out that Namor will never show up in the MCU? Just so I know what happens.
So here's the thing. I've seen listings for Namor and casting calls.
Fuck
No
yeah.
shit.
Sick.
In voice only so far, but so maybe that's
Okay.
animated, but they're definitely involving him somewhere.
Nice. Good.
I'm actually down for that.
So, there you go.
All right. So anyway, I feel like before we should all say our relationship very briefly, for the sake of time, our relationship with the Snyder films so far, just so, in the broadest strokes, Muha.
What, you don't think I would? Well, I guess not everyone's watching every video, but people who've been watching you and me for a while know our history.
Yeah, so like in the broadest terms, we don't need to go through every movie Snyder's ever made. What has been your view on the DC extended universe up and until Justice League? We'll start with Chris, since he is to my left on screen here.
I hate Zack Snyder. I have hated him. I've hated every single film I've seen, going back to 300 in high school. Then Watchmen. Man of Steel, we were just talking about this a little bit beforehand. I think Man of Steel's actually aged pretty well. Mostly that's because of the rest of the DCEU. But I think because it was just its own standalone story. I mean, like, we all know how Superman gets to Earth. We all know his backstory. So it kind of sucks. It's still just kind of like, another generic origin film. But then you get to Batman vs. Superman, which I hate, and Justice League, the theatrical cut, which I hated. I would say it was worse than Suicide Squad. Not as bad as Wonder Woman 1984, which just came out. So I was very surprised. I didn't think this was going to be anywhere near as tremendous an improvement as it actually was. This is a real film. I have some glaring issues with it still, but I will say this is probably, after Shazam, this is the best DCEU film so far. So again, I'm probably going to get this more and more later.
Oh yeah, well, plenty.
It's not that I like it that much better. I would put it like right down like a 2.5 in the middle. But keep in mind, the first Justice League is like a quarter of a star, But I definitely respect a lot of what this film did.
Valid. All right. Ron.
Okay, so Now, full disclosure, I have worked on sets of the DC universe, so I do not carry any bias because of it. But you should know that I have worked on that before I say anything. So I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's eye. I like the way he shoots film. I do. You know, I don't think enough is said about the way that he crafts his images. I think there's something to be said with the fact that the dude paid attention in school, and regardless of whether you like his content or not, he knows how to make some damn good images. You could pause the images in any of his films and you could put them on your wall. They're that good. So you know, dialogue, the way he directs, to me, that's all up for debate. All that is subjective. Um, but I on the other hand enjoyed 300. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I enjoyed most of the DC universe, but I didn't have any expectations for it. That's also something important to know. I'm more of a Marvel dude. I always have been, although I have concurrently read and watched both as long as I've been alive. I've always been just more drawn to Marvel. As I said, like X-Men has always been my thing. Um, yeah, the DC universe, it didn't really surprise me where it went with the quality, because you got to know the parent company. Warner Brothers been floundering for years. You know, so it didn't surprise me. There's tons of writers, there's overwriting in Hollywood. Most people don't know that. One person writes the script, seven other people write it again. You know, which is why the industry term that everybody likes to use is that it has act 3 problems. And the reason why it has act 3 problems is because 8 people wrote it. All right. And so yeah, like I said, going to the movies and watching Zack Snyder's films on a big screen does a lot for me. I derive a lot of that. I derive a lot of art out of what he does, not what other people are looking for. So yeah, we'll put it that way. I'm a fan because I like the overall product when it's finished. Of course, you could pick everything apart to death. He's not perfect. None of it is perfect. And I truly enjoyed I got something really, I derived something really deep and thoughtful and emotional out of the new Justice League film that I did not think I would get. And I enjoyed it already. You know, the theatrical cut, you could tell it was chopped. I guess what it comes from for me is because I've been doing this for so long on the other side. I'm kind of permanently wired that way. I'm just looking at it differently. The production side of things, I could see where things move and how things get done, and so I have an appreciation for it on that side as well as the art. But yeah, I got something very powerful from this particular cut, and it was obvious looking at the theatrical cut that it was chopped to shit.
Oh yeah,
just like Batman versus Superman was. The extended edition of that informed me at least where they wanted to go with it. Mm-hmm. You know, whereas before it was just kind of slapped together and was like, okay, here you go. Do you bleed? You know, I'm like, okay, bro. By the way, sidebar, like, please tell me Joss Whedon did not put that mechanical CG mouth on Henry Cavill just to say, do you bleed? From the other film, because the cuts of him fighting them on the steps were perfectly fine without him talking. Yeah. Why did you do that?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that.
Yes. But
I forgot about that till you just brought it up now.
And this is, to me, this is the Natalie Portman, Keira Knightley thing. Everybody thought Natalie Portman sucked in episode 1. Keira Knightley was playing that part that you didn't like. Okay, so just so everybody knows, when Natalie Portman played Padme, few people had a problem with her.
All right,
I think that's this situation here. I think some of the stuff for the guy who's beloved got tucked under the rug and blamed on Zack Snyder. So, but yeah, long story short, I'm a DC fan. I'm not a hardcore diehard DC fan, except for a few cases. I enjoyed all of these films except for Wonder Woman 84. And yeah.
All right, cool. Muha, go for it.
Oh, I have no opinions.
Fuck you. What do you really think?
Check him out in
so-
the Facebook comments before you believe
Yeah,
that.
right. I watched Dawn of the Dead in theaters. I thought it was a fun zombie remake. I was like in high school, or at least fresh out of high school or something. And then 300, I remember it coming out and just being blown away by the artistry of it. I'd never seen something. It was, 90% CG or whatever, but there was this grandiosity to it that I was really attracted to. And it's a bit overblown, it's a bit cheesy, but at the same time, like, it comes from the same part of me that loves the Matrix movies. I love the whole Matrix trilogy, each one for completely different reasons, mind you, but I do love the Matrix trilogy, and I do love movies that at least try to have that grander scale of things. So 300 was great. And then Sucker Punch was drastically disappointing to me in theaters. I was really disappointed by that. But then I saw the director's cut of that, which was rated R. It only had a couple more minutes of footage, but that footage made the story make more sense. It's still pretty nonsensical, but it tied together certain parts that needed to be tied together for it to make sense as a movie. And it was clear that the studio just made him chop that out to make it PG-13 and to have it just be this eye candy, movie to have in theaters with these attractive women in, schoolgirl outfits and shit. And I've actually seen some weird, interesting write-ups about the movie since then, talking about how it takes the expectation and subverts it. And it calls back to conversations I actually had with certain kinds of men when they're like, that whole movie's a cock tease. They make you think you're going to see them dance, and then they go into this stupid video game shit. And I'm like, that's kind of the point, though. So I found that
it's a cock
interesting.
tease if you're in the gutter the whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly. So after that, Watchmen, I actually really enjoyed in theaters. I know it's different from the comics. I know that the overall themes are kind of missed. The reframing of Rorschach can be a bit problematic depending on what angle you approach it from. But overall, I got that same kind of grand tragedy feeling from it, and I enjoyed how it went. I haven't watched the director's cut or the ultimate cut. I've got that queued up for this weekend. I'm going to do it.
I have. It's great.
Yeah, it's compared to the original, improvement, big improvement, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this theme of his movies kind of being chopped down and then improved in the director's cuts. And he also has a penchant for long movies. So Man of Steel, when I first watched it, I was kind of like, this is okay. We were a few years into the whole Marvel thing. But I think that that's another thing about it, is that when we had a superhero movie, we kind of just wanted to see him start punching shit. And like with a lot of Marvel movies, they have a bunch of extraneous action and shit. And it wasn't necessarily that it was wrong. It was just not as exciting. And I gave it like a 7 out of 10. And then Batman versus Superman came out, which longtime viewers will know has been a point of contention between me and Michael for a while. The original cut I have not seen. I refuse to see it because shortly before it came out, I heard about the studio interference, and I heard that the director's cut. Yeah, I heard that a director's cut was on the way. And when I saw it, I felt like it flowed perfectly fine as a 3-hour movie. I felt like it spent enough time on the things that it needed to. And
Chris?
I had a great time. I've watched it like 4 or 5 times. It's I understand the problems that people have had with it, especially in terms of the characterization of Superman and Batman. But personally, I know that there are questions about these being the portrayals they bring to film. But personally, I've always liked when the creators try to do something a little weird with the characters. They try to get a little more interesting, or color outside the lines a little bit. And I like that he drew inspiration from certain very specific sources from the comics, but at the same time, had the guts to, make Batman the bad guy essentially at the beginning, like someone who had totally lost his way. I like the idea that these characters are not something that are just already good, that are, fundamentally infallible on a certain level because they have a moral code. And the question is how they approach the world through their moral code. It was more a question of struggling to find their moral code in the middle of a world that pushes against it. And I like that concept, however flawed it is. I like it. Now with the Snyder Cut coming out last week, I was not a fan of Justice League. I gave that like maybe a 4 or a 5 out of 10. It was the tonally dissonant. I hated the fucking quippy bullshit. It was garbage. It was clearly garbage. And at the very least, it was trying to be something that it wasn't, and it completely did not fit with what came before it. And I remember reading about what had happened leading up to the release and just being like, wow, this feels dirty, but hopefully Joss Whedon will do him right. And it did not, in much worse ways than we thought, as we've come to find out over the years. But then recently, this past weekend, I ended up binging the 3 movies in a row just to see how it's held up. I ended up liking Man of Steel better than I originally did, and not liking BVS as much as I originally did. And namely in light of Man of Steel, because being 8 years later, watching Man of Steel again, I feel like we've seen so much more ugliness in the world and seen the whole world climate turn towards such a different path that the idea of the Marvel optimism felt a lot more hollow. And going back to something like Man of Steel, where there is a hostile world, where there is fear of being yourself and trying to do the right thing, the way that it highlighted his journey as an uncertain young man, growing into a role, learning to push against the fear that his father instilled in him, and eventually choosing to do the right thing and trying to inspire people to have faith in righteousness and goodness and just doing the right thing. That struck a lot more strongly for me when I watched it again this past weekend. And that at this point, I would put it at a 9 out of 10. I know that it's not as exciting for people, but I really appreciate the quiet filmmaking that leads up to the climactic moments a lot more. So
I agree with that.
Yeah, I know that people aren't really big on the whole dark and gloomy style, but I watch Ingmar Bergman movies, man. Like, if people think that dark and gloomy is this stuff, like just getting a little goth, like I lived through the 90s with Spawn influencing the whole industry for a while. This is not that bad. This is not that dark.
May I sidebar and add to something that you said? So yeah. Michael, because I edit your editorials, I know that one of the biggest problems you have with Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman under Zack Snyder is the loss of optimism and the loss of temperament and the loss of conscience that you believe that he has. I want to add to what Muha says, that I think it's still present in Henry Cavill's journey as Clark Kent because they're film adaptations. You have to understand that Henry Cavill as a grown man playing Superman happened when Kevin Costner died in the film. All of this stuff is relatively new. He's not quite yet the Superman you read.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's perfectly fine to have him where he's at by the time we get to Batman versus Superman. I don't think he's all the way there yet. Well, I don't think anybody should think he's there.
Since I apparently have to defend my opinion on this.
No, you don't have to defend it. You don't have to defend it.
I want to step in here as someone who's been arguing with Michael for years about this. On a couple days ago, we recorded our reviews for The Courier and The Father, and I told him we should start talking about Man of Steel on camera, and he's like, "No, it's fine." And then we sat in the car for like an hour talking about it. Turns out he actually doesn't mind Man of Steel.
Right.
He actually kind of likes it.
Right. But yeah, I'm not attacking your point though, Michael. I'm just saying that I think what you're looking for and what you love about Superman is still there. It just has not completely grown yet.
I think it's more there in Man of Steel. I think it got lost between that movie and BVS. BVS is the one I have issues with, not necessarily Man of Steel. Even though I don't agree with a lot of the ways, like a lot of decisions they made in Man of Steel, I can at least see what they were going for. I can see what they were trying to do, and for the most part, I can get behind it. BVS is where it got too overtly cynical
So
and lost the point for me.
So just a point of bias. Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. I would have been on board with this. We have been on board in this, Michael, but I think that this film does a lot to really make Zack Snyder's version of Superman more sense. I mean,
I do agree with that.
There are, I actually haven't seen the director's cut for Batman vs Superman, and honestly, after this, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to check it out.
You should.
If this was such a huge improvement, I wouldn't. So like, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's not as much of an improvement. Now that I've seen this, it's not as much of an improvement, but it's still, it makes it seem like a coherent movie.
Well,
whereas in the original, it's like
that's true.
You could see the path better if you watch the director's cut.
Yeah. So Superman, seen as like a classic symbol of altruism, all that. He is a binding force for goodwill, between your fellow man. Having the power to destroy the world but choosing to protect it. And I think that stories that really talk about that is what really brings the character of Superman to life for me. There have been, I'm not completely against the idea of a not good Superman, or one who's not like a Boy Scout. It's been done before. The entire idea of Superman's a good guy. What if he's bad? That's been done with both
Ultraman.
Superman. Yep, Superman, alternate versions, other characters, the boys. The one thing that really still sticks with me, that kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth with Zack Snyder, is he's an outspoken objectivist. So those philosophies really
don't clash.
They don't. Yeah, they kind of clash with each other. I do think Ron brought up good points that it's all part of the journey, and you need these down points to really show a character struggle. And I think there's a really good redemption going on with this movie for him. So I don't think we're ever going to see, the big blue Boy Scout style of Superman, but I don't think that any of that optimism is anywhere near as drained after I watched this film.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do want to say something about.
Before we get into
struggled,
that, do you mind if I say my piece?
No, Michael, this isn't your show.
Because before we get I can tell where this is going. All right, really very quickly. Especially because I've watched the movie twice now too. So I had my initial reaction, then I kind of had another time to watch it and kind of analyze it a bit more on a critical standpoint. As far as my views on Zack Snyder go, where I'm coming from, and I'm kind of with Chris in the fact that I do kind of see Snyder as like an objectivist. He definitely leans, maybe not leans, but he's definitely a fan of like Ayn Rand's.
His production company is called Atlas Entertainment.
That's actually not his company. I looked into that.
Oh shit! Oh wow, I fucked up. I should have done my research.
Well, he had a Fountainhead reference in Justice League, so that was interesting.
It doesn't mean he. Well, yeah, and we can have a conversation about that off camera. But I think that because of so many weird so many weird people attach themselves to Ayn Rand, I think the real message is getting lost in Ayn Rand's work. I would love to talk with you guys about that.
Okay.
And I also wanted to say one more thing on that, because I've been confused about that recently, just because people try to say that his heroes are like Randian ideals and everything, and
I wouldn't go.
I just don't.
Not really.
Yeah, I know. I don't see that any more than I would see that for any superhero portrayal, and that's a bigger discussion. No. But for me, I read one quote from him where he said that the big way that he relates to the Fountainhead as a book is how it relates to the creative process.
That is true, and that
I didn't think about that. And when I thought about it in the context of creativity, the idea of just being pure in your vision, not listening to what anyone else has to fucking say to you, sticking to your guns and making what you think is great, and really being, an artist and leaving that kind of pure for yourself and really not letting those people bring you down.
That's the ticket.
I can agree with that. And I'm saying that as
it
someone
just
who
sucks
does
that
not
Republicans
like
think it's about them.
I do think
Rand herself was, problematic in plenty of ways, but
sure.
In terms of how it applies to the creative process, I can be okay with that. And everything I've heard about Zack Snyder as a person is that he is just a lovely human being. He's really nice. He's really thoughtful. Everyone who's worked with him apparently loves working with him. And me and Michael were talking about the whole Geeks and Gamers thing that happened.
You're fully on board. Like,
on their channel.
Great thing to do. Love that he did that.
He went on their stream and opened up his time on their stream, calling them out and saying, "I don't associate with this brand at all because I think we should be for unity and everything."
Let's see if they about that freedom of speech now.
So
they're not. They were immediately turned on.
I was talking with Muha about that, and when that happened, my power went out and my alarm started going off. So I thought my power went out. No, it was the based alarm going off at full blast because that was
So let me be clear about my views on Snyder in general. I have nothing against the man personally.
For sure.
Like everything I've heard says that he's a wonderful human being to work with. We already have like 10 minutes left on this one, so I'm gonna make it quick. Title card 1. We'll get to the movie eventually.
That's title card 2.
Whatever.
Hey, we can be as long as the movie was, okay? They took a lot of time to explain a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want it to go 4 hours long, but
we're going to be longer than the movie.
I'm trying to cap it at 2.
We can have a preface video like we did with Endgame, where we all discuss like the thing around the
anyway,
movie.
I got 9 minutes. Let me get this point across first. So yeah, I have nothing against Snyder as a director. I've heard he's a lovely man. I've heard no one has ever complained working with him. I've not necessarily been a big fan of his viewpoints, just his general like movie by movie themes and ideas and atmospheres he tends to create. I kind of have issue with that. But just going over my history with the films, it's not necessarily it's bad. It's just not a style that meshes with me. So like for one thing, I loved 300 when it came out. It came out like when I was very much like raw masculinity, so I was very into that stylistic, artistic.
So many abs.
So many abs.
So my issue with 300 from its thematic points is Zack Snyder even openly admitted to this back in interviews at the time. And I know it's only 10 years. Oh, shit.
It's 8 minutes. Wow. Make it quick, Chris.
It's more than 10 years now. Jeez. But he's like...
Oh, yeah. It's like 15 years, dude.
Yeah. Where he,
for
lack of a better term, weaponized homoeroticism.
Oh, yeah.
In the film.
Yeah.
And even he's come out and said, like, yeah, it wasn't my best moment. So stuff like that.
You grow as you grow as you go.
Honestly, like I envisioned King Leonidas talking like that though. So like, didn't really sway me mentally.
Bro, Spartans were gay as fuck though.
It's more about the Persians.
Spartans were so
it's
gay.
More about Xerxes.
Isn't that obvious?
Kind of.
And then there's that line in the movie where it's like, "We're not the boy lovers from Athens." It's like,
no, exactly.
No, you're not.
Like, the movie definitely got
you're
it wrong.
Even bigger boy lovers than them.
Right.
No, the man lovers. They're man lovers.
Yeah.
They like to mesh each other's abs together.
They're the red caped booty warriors. That's what it is.
Well, they're blocking all the arrows as his Raining Men plays in the background.
But they rejected that short guy because he wasn't tall enough to dock with them.
So, loved 300 when I was a kid. I was a big fan of the movie. Really liked it. I own the soundtrack.
When you were a wee lad.
When I was wee lad when it came out back in whenever. And then Watchmen I liked when it first came out. Back when I wasn't smart enough in comic books to really get the point of Watchmen. Like it kind of flew over my head. So when I was watching movies, like, oh, this looks like the book. I like this. And then to like kind of reread the book and then rewatch the movie and go, it's still entertaining, but it kind of misses the point.
Watchmen the film is a time capsule movie. It has nothing to do with trying to make the comic book great.
Yeah,
they just want to talk about the 80s.
That's fair.
Yeah, it felt like very much.
Also felt like it was more about the characters than the themes of the movie.
The problem is
it was more about the characters.
That's kind of the problem with the Watchmen has.
Mostly Rorschach.
It's not just Rorschach though. It's also Night Owl and Silk Spectre. How in the book they're kind of portrayed as like helpless nobodies who should not be doing anything involved in this. And this one, they're just cool, sexy action figures who have slow-mo action sequences. When really, like, Night Owl is just a sad, pathetic loser who needs a costume, get it up. You know, that's kind of
that is true, but from an industry standpoint,
I get why
like,
it's there.
Even
but
for
me,
something as famous as Watchmen, that wasn't gonna fly super. I also have not seen the director's cut for Watchmen. Maybe I should do that also.
You should do that.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's Watchmen. Never saw Sucker Punch, so I can't speak to that one.
Neither did I.
And then I didn't see the Owl one either, so I don't know about that one either.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was him.
Completely forgot he directed an animated kids movie.
Wait, what movie?
It was like Guardians.
Oh, the Guardians movie. The something of the Guardians.
Oh, is that the one with like Jack Frost and shit?
No, it was like a bunch
the one
of
that
owls.
Tumblr got really weird over.
No. It's
Chris,
it's a,
I remember that
owls.
one, dude. That was one where it was like the Easter Bunny and shit.
Yeah, Easter
like
Bunny
that.
and Russian Santa.
Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
Guardians of Gahul. Okay.
Yeah,
Never heard of
that's the one.
Never heard
Man of Steel. I remember I really loved it when I first watched it in theaters. Then kind of like what you're talking about, Chris. Like it's or not Chris Muha, where it's kind of like diluted a bit over time, but I still like it. I still think it holds up. I still think it's the best of the Snyder DC movies, in my opinion. I still stand by that. I still like it. It's the only one I can say. There are parts of it I don't like, but I think like the intention wins through, and I can see for what I was trying to do in a positive way. So at least
its simplicity gives it focus.
It does. And then BVS happened. And again, if you watch the show for a long time, you know where I stand. I'm not going to regurgitate it. God knows I've spent enough time talking about it.
Huge fan, flawless movie. He loves it. Never loved the movie more.
Fuck you, no. So like
made two editorials critically analyzing its success.
Wholeheartedly defended it against my attacks.
I feel attacked right now. But no, like I just don't like what it did with the characters. I don't like what it did. Like I get where you're going with it, and I can see the arguments that you guys make on it. That did not register for me, did not come clear enough for me. I don't think it worked on that level for me personally. Not to say it's bad if it did for you, but for me, I didn't get any of that, and I think it does fall into a pattern I've noticed with Snyder films in that, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of characters are used to reinforce closer to nihilistic ideals, which I think don't mesh with the character in the universe is trying to tell these stories in. My opinion, this is a different video. We're not going to get into that.
It's like you didn't watch the endings of the movies.
I did. It didn't change my mind. Okay. But so point being, didn't work for me. Justice League, I also just fucking hated. I hated it for everyone else. Everyone else also realized it was bad because I remember people like praising it when it first came out, and I was like, "What the fuck did you watch?" Because I did not watch that movie.
The opening scene ruined the whole film for me. I almost walked out.
Yeah, like it was like
I
the minute Steppenwolf showed up and he looked like a PS1 cutscene, I was like,
I'm talking about the freaking the puppet mouth they put over this dude.
Oh yeah,
I was like, this is not film. I'm walking out. Like I did not pay money for this.
So yeah, and then hated that one, and now leads us to here, which is a movie I've been dreading because I've been just so exhausted by the discourse behind this movie for the past few years. I've like vehemently said, I am never talking about BVS ever again. Do not bring it up to me. I'm not because I'm so offended by it, because I'm just so exhausted by it. I just became so exhausted of talking about it. I was like, I never want to talk about this again. Please don't bring it up to me. With all that being said, now that I've watched the movie twice, the first time I laughed a lot. Like I had a hard time taking it seriously. So the second time I was like, yeah, there are parts I liked about it, but overall I thought it was pretty stupid. Second time around is where I'll give it more credit, and I'll say like, okay, I was a little too harsh on it the first time around. So keep this in mind. I'm coming from that. It's like, okay, do I think it's good? But I can say it's fine. Like there are parts of it I enjoy. I didn't really get into the characters all that much. There's a lot of still have issues with it, but on the whole, it's even my first impression, it's undeniably an improvement on the original. Like in every way, like there's no way, even if you don't like it, you can deny that.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like there's still a lot of issues with it that I personally don't like, and it's not the issues I had BVS. It's like entirely new reasons, which is interesting to me. So now we got that out of the way.
Before we hit the limit, there's one last thing I wanted to say.
You got one minute.
They had his playlist on HBO Max, and I was surprised and also just felt like I fucking knew it. When I saw that on there, he had a bunch of Kurosawa movies and Wim Wender movies.
Yeah.
And Kubrick movies, not just the normal ones, but like Wages of Fear. And I just knew this was a guy that did his homework. I knew this was a guy that liked actual good movies.
It's obvious.
I agree.
Yeah, the dude, like the sheer amount of people on a film set is astronomical, and it's a wonder anybody can get anything done. And for you to create images like that with that many people having to tell them what to do is insane.
It's just a dramatic closing line.
It just is.
Michael knows he was wrong. Michael admits he's wrong.
That's not what's happening.
Can we borrow Star Wars right now? What I said was wrong from a certain point of view.
Fuck it, I'm using that. Oh man. Okay, so let's actually talk about the movie now. Now we've got all the preamble out of the way.
I want to say we were talking about Zack Snyder's vindication.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to issue an apology to Ray Fisher.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
I took his comments as him being salty that his stable job in a franchise was off to a bad start.
No, he got screwed.
They fucked Ray Fisher over. Cyborg is the best character in this movie.
Well, and Chris, now that your eyes are open to that, please understand that black actors get done this way in Hollywood all the time.
I know.
And that's what he was. The fact that he even opened his mouth and spoke is an exception, not the rule.
Fucking props, major props to him.
He got props from me right off the beginning. Yeah.
He sacrificed his role in the Flash to do that. Like, that's crazy.
And he was proven right.
Yep.
And
in many ways,
he is, in my opinion, he is the emotional backbone of all the superheroes in there.
Absolutely.
I do agree with that. Although it does come from other issues I had with it, but I do agree with that statement.
The film makes 10 times more sense than it did without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And it's like it's kind of amazing to see. I mean, we all know by this point how much of a problem Joss Whedon is, but the extent to which it went, because I remember people being like, "Oh, I don't like how, in Justice League, how Zack Snyder uses the camera to look at Wonder Woman." Well, guess what?
No,
it wasn't him.
That was
100% Whedon.
And it's kind of amazing to me how much effort he really put into making that work. Like, I know he didn't spend that much time on Aquaman or Wonder Woman or Batman, but like, it's from them having other movies already set up to the fact that they're established characters like that are more familiar. I would say that Cyborg and the Flash were arguably the least familiar characters to your average audience goer, or your average moviegoer audience.
Maybe the Flash, but definitely Cyborg.
Cyborg, yeah, sure. The Flash definitely has some popularity over the past few years.
And by the way, if you like the first Wonder Woman movie, I'd say a good 60% of that was a Zack Snyder handoff to the director of that film.
Yeah,
he made most of it.
In the first few minutes of this movie, I remember thinking, how is Wonder Woman more badass in this few minutes than I felt like towards her for her own movie?
I don't know if I agree with that. I still like the No Man's Land scene.
I still think the bank scene, the No Man's Land scene is still cool and a highlight of the first Wonder Woman movie, but I don't know. The bank scene in this just felt so balls to the wall awesome that it felt like it was more badass. Just in terms of being flat out badass.
I like the bank scene. I don't like Wonder Woman's characterization in this movie. I will say that, mostly because there isn't one. I
like it better than the original cuts.
Well, I mean, again, if we're going to be the original cuts, then yeah, we're going to be like, of course it is.
The original cut is an adaptation of an adaptation.
Yeah, so like,
but also consider the fact that both in the Justice League and from everything I've heard about Wonder Woman 1984, her entire character is centered around the fact that she misses her boyfriend.
And that's still kind of the case here. That's like still her defining.
No, it's not.
But hold up.
He says one line.
But like, I don't. Okay. Maybe an overgeneralization. Everyone back down.
Yeah.
Well, hold
Yeah,
on.
it is.
And
Back down.
outside the force field, we are progressive people here, are we not? That does not pass the Bechdel test in any shape, way, or form.
100%.
Okay, not at all.
100%.
Mhm.
But there are plenty of scenes in this movie where she was. I feel like it wasn't very much about her, but the places where she had lines, she felt like her own person. She felt like she didn't
Yes.
need to prove anything to anybody.
Fair.
And she felt like she genuinely related to the other characters. I didn't need more
that
out
line,
of her. She has
that
two
line,
movies of her own.
I think the line you're talking about is when she's talking with
Cyborg. Yeah. And that's just her mentioning it to
that's-
relate to his tragedy.
Yeah, I thought that was a great character scene for both of them.
See, that's
And-
the issue I had with this compared to that one, and like this is probably you guys probably disagree on, and that's fine. Is the fact that I just could not, even watching it a second time, I just had a really hard time getting into these characters. Like I just could not get behind them. Like the one I will give credit for is Ray Fisher as Cyborg, was the one I kind of got into. But for the most part, I just did not find these characterizations of these people interesting. And I just could not get into them on a personal level. Like, all of them kind of have one mood for the most part, and they just kind of stay there for most of it. To the point I just could not get invested in them in these versions. Like, Aquaman is just, like, grumpy and standoffish for a good chunk of the film. Wonder Woman is just kind of stoic, and she has a few good scenes. I'm not going to deny that, but not enough for me to, like, really feel invested. Batman has a kind of I'm too old for this shit vibe for most of the movie. And like the Flash gets some characterization. He has like all the personality of the bunch. But I didn't really like him in the original movie, and that did not really change.
Stop right
Really?
there. Stop right there. Ezra Miller is in his own movie. He's in his own movie. Like, I don't even know what movie he's in. Okay.
Well, here's
that's definitely fair.
I'll give you that.
So,
but I will
He's
say
in his
that
own
as
movie.
somebody who, you know, in the theatrical cut,
It was worse
Ezra
than
Miller's
theatrical cut.
character.
Not going to deny that.
No, Ezra Miller's character was a one-note, like basically autistic spectrum weirdo who jokes too much kind of thing. And he just kept making inappropriate jokes.
Bear in mind, Muha, we're talking about film tropes, right? We're not.
No,
calling
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, no, as somebody who's we talked a lot about this during the music review.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
just don't
on
want
the
people
spectrum.
attacking you in the comments.
No, that's fine. But
on
that's the
that
thing. I felt like that was a stereotype. I felt like it was a trope. I felt like it was no better than, you know, just your average, like, oh, he's the weirdo who talks too much. He made jokes at extremely inappropriate moments. And they had like from the joke, like all the jokes during the fight with Superman, just fucking stupid, terrible,
God.
broke the
Jesus
mood.
Christ.
But in this one, they did enough leading up to his character. Yeah, when he's first introduced, pulling his resume out of his pocket, it's kind of cringy. But the way that was a counterbalance to when he slows everything down and goes to save, you know, Iris, and, you know, Song to the Siren plays, which is one of my favorite underappreciated songs. I love that they had that cover.
I want to get into that.
Okay. But like, I love the fact that it provided that contrast where he had this thing where he's struggling to fit in. And then that moment, even though he can't really share that side of himself with anybody, and for a moment he does with Iris, that's where he finds that peace. That's where he finds that the world slows down and he can deal with it and finds that serenity. And that's conveyed through the music. And I really like that.
I agree with you. I just wish that they would have used those things that you talked about with his vulnerability to have him bond with Cyborg.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree.
Had he bonded with Cyborg with that, they would make sense together.
That would make sense, yeah.
But because of that, because he doesn't do that, he's literally in his own movie, and that shit he did with Iris is like a Pepsi commercial.
I also agree with that.
Okay,
When it comes to Ezra Miller, I do want to blame most of it on Joss Whedon because, you know, Joss Whedon's doing Firefly dialogue.
Like, let me be clear.
A place that does not
version is
need it.
goddamn unbearable in the original.
So I do feel that he was better. I do think he and Aquaman were the weakest of the main Justice League.
Yes.
Except for the one character who technically is part of the main Justice League, but not in this movie. I'll get into my complaints about that later.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
Oh God, me too.
Maybe not for the reason you are, but I'm so mad.
But I do feel that the levity he brought didn't always hit. But when it did, that's exactly the kind of levity a movie with the tone of this should be going for. I felt that what all of his little quips, well, I really shouldn't say quips, it was just, kind of the mood lifter. And for the most part, they come on good I can't talk to it. They all come in good times and good moments. There's a saying that an old acting teacher told me, is that you can't have, or a good tragedy is never devoid of comedy, and a good comedy is never devoid of tragedy.
Nice.
So I just feel that the balance he brought in this, although it didn't always land, was all just so much more consistent, and just made, even though he was pretty one note for the whole thing, definitely just made his character work better.
Well, and
I'll let me pop one thing on top of that. I will posit you one further thing on that, is that while I did not laugh at all of his jokes, I still felt like the moments where he made jokes, even if they weren't funny, felt fitting as
that's where they
an
would go.
awkward crack that the
exactly
character
that's where they would go.
Yeah, that's
and that
totally valid.
that to me is the key. It doesn't have to all be funny. It just has to fit the character.
well, and the reason why the comedy and drama and vice versa has to work is because so much comedy comes out of just being afraid anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some cool scenes with the Flash where he's like doing, like when he does break the glass, is a cool visual.
Oh yeah.
Zack Snyder finally found his use of slow-mo that works.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
I definitely need the.
I love the
4K.
meme that I think Muha put up. Did you put up the meme, or was it?
Yeah, the one where
was
he
like,
touches the window.
Windows
the glass
Windows
and it
no
broke.
longer support Flash.
But I'm going with Ron on this one. Like, I feel like that vulnerability and like quiet moments would have worked better with Cyborg as opposed to Iris, because
right,
all they do is make googly eyes at each other, and then he just kind of creepily stares at her for a few minutes while music plays and tells them it's a love scene.
But
to me, that's like really
that would have been better used with Cyborg.
And
I mean, we can hit up Zack Snyder, ask him to add another half hour to the movie. Like, we can still do that.
Let me be clear. At this point, I'm just
wait for my prediction, Muha. Wait for my prediction.
Oh God! All right. Chris,
are we gonna get an Ultimate Edition?
So I feel
you'll see.
The other big missed opportunity of the Flash and Cyborg is that they're both quite literally the new kids on the block. They are both young, and having them find that ground where one is enthusiastic, like he's on board, like right away. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. I need friends. That one kind of got a chuckle out of me. And then Cyborg is so reluctant. He drops. Can we swear on this?
Fuck it, go for it.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
He drops the fuck the world.
See, I laugh when that happens.
I feel that those two viewpoints, as opposing as they were, would be the ones that would come together,
right,
to really bring him in.
Like the Flash would be chipping away at his exterior to get into the humanity. You know what I mean?
Like,
exactly.
One thing that really stopped me from getting into Cyborg's character arc as much as I wanted to, because it's the strongest arc in the film. But I had trouble getting into it all the way, mostly because it felt like by the time he has the line of I'm not broken, I'm not alone, I was like, I love the idea of that. I love where you're going with that. But I also haven't seen you show anything but like at most mild discomfort around everyone else around you.
He's a freaking robot, Michael.
I know, but it's more like
do you notice that I love that he stands unnaturally still.
I know what you're gonna say. I know all the arguments against this. It did not interest me, and it did not make me buy into his character. That's all I'm trying to say here is, for all the intention and meaning behind these things, it doesn't matter if I'm not invested. And I had a hard time getting invested as these characters are portrayed on screen.
Comedic sidebar, if you will, if it pleases the court. I know what you're really upset about in this story arc. You know what you're upset about? What everybody should be upset about is that Joe Morton has been forced to play Miles Dyson for at least 10 years out of his career. He will play no other character.
What?
You don't know who Joe Morton is? Cyborg's dad.
I don't.
He's one of the most underappreciated black actors of all time. He played Miles Dyson.
Yeah, he was in Terminator.
In T2.
Oh, yeah.
But they keep putting him in the same.
Oh my god!
And I just now realized it's him. Okay.
Oh my god!
They keep putting him in the same role forever. Okay.
Oh my
Joe
god! I
Morton.
didn't realize that was
But
him.
I will provide I want to provide a counterpoint to what you said, Michael, about being invested in the character and having that moment. As somebody who has felt too broken to be loved at times, as somebody who has felt extremely alone at times, and has felt like, if I only had this perfect persona or life, if I could only fix these things, if these things didn't fall apart, I would be okay. The message that this sends to people who have felt that alienated by the world, by their family, have felt like, they can't, their body is not what they want or need it to be. I fucking cried.
And like, I'm not.
Wow.
I was crying.
Like you're implying that I don't appreciate.
No. I'm not. I'm saying, as a contrast to the fact that you did not connect with it, I connected to it that deeply. So I'm just saying that.
Fair enough.
And it hits me too, but in a different way. From where I come from, it's the perception is reality. Even if you haven't told these people you care about them, the fact that you said it out loud and you have a reason to finish this fight to get back to them is really important.
Yes.
Okay, that's all valid.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So keep in mind, like whenever I say these things, I'm not.
And hire Joe Morton for something else.
Yeah, that's.
You pointed that out. My God, that's.
I just like it, like the ticking clock, as we all figured it out.
Michael, yeah. I just want to make sure you understand that, like, if I bring up a counterpoint to what you're saying about not connecting with a character, I'm not saying that you should have connected and you're wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying that worked for me. It didn't work for you. You have a certain adverse, like you're adverse to this thing in the first place. So the fact that you went through watching it a second time. Hang on, shut up. I'm complimenting you. Okay. The fact that you went through it a second time and were able to give it some credit and connect with it properly, I think that's great. I think the fact that we were able to have the conversation about Man of Steel and that what we liked about it and the things that we had in common about liking a Zack Snyder DC movie, that's kind of crazy. That's some good shit. I'm not saying that your perspective is invalid, but I do still think that there's certain things that for this movie to work, it counts on you really connecting deeply with the characters and buying into this certain style. I've watched multiple reviews of this movie over the past few days, and there are moments where people are like, I felt like this was too cheesy. I just thought this was a dumb moment. And I'm like, are you kidding? Were we watching the same movie? Just the way that different people connect to the different moments in this movie and the different characters and the different characterizations, it varies wildly. Mileage may vary.
And Michael has at times for his audience and for us, given us his perspective emotionally from where he comes from, and I could see why you wouldn't get with that.
Yeah,
I can honestly see that. I understand why that would just bounce off you and you just be like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you.
Yeah.
And we had a great moment like that in our BVS versus Civil War debate video that we got. There's a moment where we reach an understanding with each other about how that feels. Okay. It's not invalid. It's just,
Yeah. I apologize. I got a little defensive there. Yeah. I think for me, a big part of this too is just because the discourse around this has been so volatile, not just with you guys, just just in general. And I think a part of it is that reflex.
I think this is quite productive.
I think we all know each other. Well, I don't know you too well, Ron, but I think just from how we've approached this topic, I think we all know that anything that's ever said is never you're wrong, you're stupid for thinking that way.
Yeah. I also think we have to remember that Michael lives on Twitter and in curating his YouTube comments.
That's a different planet.
So
that's a different
bro, you're living with literally direct attacks from this exact toxic fandom.
Not to mention
don't
comments every day.
Don't worry. We're not them.
Yeah,
I
but we
apologize
are
for acting
but we are not them.
reflexively.
Don't apologize.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm reassuring you. I'm not looking for an apology, man.
Okay. Well, no,
Anyway,
I
so-
feel bad because I do feel like I overreacted there. So I just want to make sure
No,
that's
it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, so Michael was wrong about the cyborg moment.
So for all the characters that got huge upgrades,
Yeah.
I feel like Aquaman kind of got a downgrade. To be completely honest,
I think two characters
Yeah.
got downgrade. I think
I-
got downgrade,
Aquaman.
and I think
Just-
not like in a character written way because the writing's better than the Josh Whedon by a country mile, but in a different way he got downgrade. Well, how you and I talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
I think Batman got a downgrade between both movies.
Honestly, I think Alfred got a downgrade. When did he?
Yeah,
I forgot
absolutely.
upgrade. What are you talking about?
No, he's a doomsayer
Alfred.
now. He's talking to Batman. This is never going to work. This is never going to this, that, the other. What?
No, because he's concerned
Alfred doesn't
about
do-
Batman. He wants Batman. He knows he's just a dude in a suit. He knows he's just a dude in a suit. That's why when it gets to the point where like he's got the rest of the guys together, he's like, dude, you got them together. Please don't fucking go out there. They're superheroes. You have gadgets. Like, please.
He should know better that he ain't going to talk Bruce Wayne out of shit.
Yeah, I'm just
He
gonna
knows
say.
better.
I'm just gonna
At the
say,
same
Alfred.
time-
Alfred is Alfred.
I
All right,
still
that's
love,
all I have to say about that.
I still have Jeremy Irons
But-
in that role, though. I will say.
Yeah, Jeremy
I
Irons
do-
is great.
Oh yeah, I love
I do
Jeremy
love
Irons.
It's he does bring a great energy to the role. I personally, my favorite character moment with him was both being British and a butler. He felt really like anxious just watching her make the tea in a way that he thought was wrong, and he's like, let me, and she's like, no, I got it. And he's like, you got to do this. You got to, okay. And then she goes and sits down, and he still makes the tea anyway and brings it to her because that's just his vibe. I love that as a character moment. But
I dug when Bruce Wayne walks in the room. He's like, "This is Alfred. I work for him."
I like that one too.
I
true.
dig that.
great.
I dig
he
that.
just looks so happy to have Batman finally bring some of his friends home to play.
Yeah,
Like,
friends.
he's been a loner for how many decades, and he finally has like a crew, and he's like, "Oh, this is nice. I'll put on some tea."
So
like,
So in regards
This
to
is-
Batman, though, I do want to
Yeah.
get this point across because I do think it's interesting. I can tell, Chris, that you're literally biting at your notes that you want to get into. We'll get to that in just a second because I wonder if you have the same gripe I do. Is the fact that and this is so weird in comparison to BVS because one of the few things I'll give that movie credit for is yes, we all have notes. You do that.
I don't. I honestly don't.
Half of us have notes. So is the fact that Batman's action sequences are significantly downgraded between BVS and the Snyder Cut
Yeah, it
in a
just shoots
weird
them.
way. Because
so
objectively speaking, hold on, Chris, let me get this point across when I got the flow going. Objectively speaking, whatever you will say about BVS, Snyder has objectively made one of the best Batman live action sequences of all time, beyond a shadow of a doubt. The warehouse scene is beyond spectacular as Batman action sequences, and that captures the Arkham theme. And yet, in this movie, we get a man who just kind of awkwardly hobbles after the Justice League in the middle of the fights, kind of like the slow kid on the track team who just kind of like chases after the bigger ones, like, I'm still here, you guys. And
he's fighting against.
But, okay, let me finish.
I like that though.
Let me finish my thought here,
enjoy
though.
the reversal.
I agree.
I enjoy the reversal.
Let me finish my thought here, though, and this is more a big issue with this, and the fact that what kind of baffles me to movies. That's not the main issue I have. Is the fact that for some reason, Batman, who in the Justice League it traditionally like keeps up with them by like being like agile, constantly moving, using all kinds of gadgets, big and small, to like outwit and outmaneuver all his foes. Here, he just has like some variation of gun, and that's all he uses for the entire film. And to me, that's like not necessarily a bad characterization, but the most boring way to use that character.
Well, that's a problem with the dramaturgy for the lore of the film. They made him 20 years older than he should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they made
That
him
was the point I was
already
gonna make, yeah.
they made him already a veteran. With young superheroes.
When this hasn't that hasn't all happened yet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now here's
That's
here's
a big
the
issue
thing.
for me.
And I don't even remember how different this is from the original theatrical release, but I just felt it a lot more strongly here. Is that this carries through on the theme of the Superman thing, because the first like Man of Steel, to me, the whole theme about Superman is the idea of doing what's right and potentially putting yourself in danger, versus and being misunderstood versus, you know, still doing what's right anyways and having faith in the trust of people and good and choosing to take that path. And BVS is the idea that you will be mischaracterized and people will be turned against you, and you will have bad actors literally working to do that. And whether or not you should just go live your life on your own and for, not sacrifice so much for these people who don't even, care about you overall. Even though there are different points through the movie where he helps people and they're very grateful. And at the end, choosing to make that ultimate sacrifice because that is your core, that is what you need to do. And the fact that that is what made Batman remember who he used to be and what he lost sight of over all these years of trauma. And then somehow in this movie, Batman's push to bring everyone together and to have that hope, to have that optimism and embody that optimism, to embody that hope that Superman represented. I still felt like there was something about the spirit of Superman that was present throughout this movie, even though he only shows up in the last hour. And it was so striking to me, watching it as a trilogy again, to feel that so directly connected between the three. And I think that that's really the purpose that Batman serves here. The same way that between The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, Batman Begins is all Batman, and then Dark Knight is not really about Batman. He's just kind of moving around doing things. I still feel like, you have the same kind of deal with Superman versus BVS, but then in that same sense, Batman's purpose in this movie is not necessarily to be a full character or be in the spotlight all the time, is to serve as the guiding compass for this movie, as someone who knows that he has fucked up his legacy over the past few decades and that he wants to leave the world safe, that he wants to leave other heroes understanding that this is what you do, and that he didn't do that right for a long time, and he was reminded of what he should be, and that they all need to carry on the legacy of Superman through this kind of mindset. I really appreciate it.
Yes, he is paying penance by being the facilitator of the healing of the world.
And I'm not really
that,
and he knows that he played
that characterization. I'm not that's a valid characterization. I can see it. Sure, I'm willing to go along with it. My issue is not with that. It's more just I'm strictly on a choreography, action sequence side here, more than anything else here. And the fact that, to me, Snyder has this thing about Batman using guns all the time, and I don't get that because it's just boring to watch. And so I'm not talking from a narrative, thematic element here. I'm speaking strictly within the visual action sequences where he is in.
You wanted to see him be more acrobatic?
I just want to see use more gadgets that aren't just big variations of tanks.
Well, I think again. Well, no, and I hear that, and that's part of what I love about Batman through the years. But again, that goes back to the dramaturgy for the lore of this film. Batman has to escalate because none of his shit is going to work on rage, fear demons.
True. It's one thing against, it's one thing against mob.
I do want to.
Chris has been trying to say something.
Well, I wanted to start about Aquaman, but I guess I'll do this first.
Yeah.
The most famous Batman story is The Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm.
He's an old man. He's not going to be able to do what he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with that. However, I also agree with what Ron said, that this is basically 20 years too early.
Yeah, it goes back to the planning of how they laid it out.
So just from what was laid out with what actually happens in terms of the continuity of everything, this one event, although he knows that he played a part in the situation that's happening now, he knows he is partially responsible. So that's why he wants to make this penance. Just the attitude he has to it is the one that's the veteran. That's a lifetime, a career of guilt, not the last year. So that's what kind of he's not, it's not bad.
It just could have done.
I just think it's something that doesn't cohesively flow as well as a bunch of the other improvements made.
I agree.
I will say, I've said this back before the film came out, just on his ability. I thought Ben Affleck could be a good Batman, could be a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And his little Bruce Wayne bits in this, even as subdued or as little as they are, how'd you do this? Oh, I bought the bank.
Yeah.
Just the nonchalant, it's so nonchalant but still so charismatic that
I did like that one little
You
line
own a
that Flash has
satellite?
where he's
I
like,
own
"Do you have a
6."
satellite? I
Yeah.
have 6." Yeah, like I
Yeah,
really
exactly.
like that moment. Yeah.
I would have loved to see that happen before this more dark brooding. And Batman, dark and brooding is this whole thing, you know. It's what people expect, so you have to give the people what they want.
But also I enjoy the reversal. I enjoy that he starts taking shit on faith. He breaks. He almost pulls a like not to cross genres too much, but he almost pulls a final look at Han Solo ish kind of thing, where he's learning new things and he's starting to get excited about it. You know what I'm saying? But it and if you follow what they were talking about doing with the Snyderverse, you know what that means because that's a promissory note that Batman's gonna die.
Like this would have made perfect sense if Zack Snyder's plans all went through as he intended. This would have made perfect sense, but because it has to fit in with all the other stuff.
Exactly.
And that's not really his fault.
No.
You know, but it is kind of a detriment to it.
Speaking of things I think we can kind of all agree are one of the lesser notes in this movie. I'm not going to talk about the Nightmare yet, but let's talk about Martian Manhunter.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Them and the Green Lanterns. But yes, let's go.
Oh, okay. So
I feel like
no, go ahead.
Hold on. I feel like just for the sake of the fact that this is a big movie with a lot of moving parts, can we save all the individual nitpicks that we can all agree were kind of
really
like
a nitpick though? Because it's kind of a big thing.
Yes, but I'm talking about like compared to the overall arc of the movie.
Okay.
Like Martian Manhunter is just like, that didn't work too well. But like, you know, there's not. That feels like a separate conversation because we haven't even talked about the rest of the main characters or the rest of the main movie.
Yeah.
That feels like a relatively small moment.
I think we can save Martian.
Like, can we save that for the Nightmare?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we can save it for the end because Zack Snyder did. So, you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, I need to get my shit off about Martian Manhunter. I need to make a point that I don't think anybody's gonna make.
Well,
I'll leave it to the board.
So let's put it this way:
if you save it for the real discussion, though, then we'll have the impact there.
All
if
right,
you just say it now, then we're gonna have to have the discussion. All right. So I will say this about Batman: something I know for sure after watching this movie, he uses Gillette and he drives a Mercedes.
Okay, that part made me legitimately laugh.
Like, the close up of the Gillette razor, I was like, all right, fine.
That's Warner Brothers. That's
just because that's Hollywood in general. That's because we're older and we're able to see it now. Product placement has been going on.
Oh yeah, I've seen it a long time.
Since before you were
remember
born.
iRobot? Remember
exactly.
iRobot?
Okay.
Like,
on that note, though, of this part, there is one little touch.
I'm talking about Gremlins, bro. I'm talking about Ghostbusters. I'm talking about Die Hard. I'm talking about.
It's always
way touch. I do want to emphasize here that I did appreciate, that I did like, and this was an add-on after Snyder took back over, is when Batman is driving away in the Mercedes, there is a billboard as he's exiting the freeway that's for a suicide prevention hotline.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That's not really a big thing to talk about. That's a small little detail that I just wanted to point out and say I appreciated, and in the context of the tragedy that led to these events. That is one of those in the background things that actually got me personally.
I think there's more of that in the movie, but
I'm sure
we'll
there
get
is.
to that.
That's what I noticed.
Do you want to cut this short and start the next chunk of minutes? So we're free to talk.
We got a couple minutes left.
All right.
Yeah, but how are we going to start a big topic?
Oh, we can start with me talking about Aquaman, like I've been trying to do for the last 30 minutes.
No, well, that's what I'm saying.
Anyway,
I want to talk about Aquaman, but like, shouldn't we cut this off so we could just start a new chunk and let Chris run hog
Title
wild?
3. Let's talk about Aquaman. And we'll be back.
Aquaman.
Or you could do what's it called, the ladies' man. Say, sweet thing, can I buy you a fifth sandwich?
I feel like I'd offend somebody with that one.
I feel like Aquaman got a pretty noticeable downgrade.
Okay.
From the theatrical cut to this, and this also includes, his own film, but I'm willing to chalk a lot of it up to, just the whole fuckery this entire process has been, So ignoring like some continuity stuff in there, like, okay, they can talk underwater. Oh, now they need to
Make air bubbles.
create this air bubble. And granted, they used the air bubble in creative ways for the fights.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
So they introduced Aquaman with one of my least favorite tropes of all time. And this is a little trope nitpicky. Having a translator for a guy who doesn't need a translator.
Yeah.
Just what was the point of that scene? You could have just had him go up to him through all this.
To keep Batman on his toes.
It was his
Generally
it was his clumsy
Generally when
attempt.
they do that.
It was his clumsy attempt to hide. No, go ahead.
Generally when they do that in movies, it tends to be a ploy to throw the other guy off to make him feel more comfortable than he is. And then I feel like they turned that back around by Batman not needing a translator either. So I like that.
I understand thematically how it works as a storytelling device. I just think they could have done it a different way. I will say, normally this is just a Zack Snyder overall thing. I don't really like his use of pop songs in montages. They rarely land for me. They all landed a lot better in this film.
They did.
And he's very clearly a fan of Nick Cave.
I definitely the songs were definitely up my alley, and from the reviews I've seen, they are definitely not up with most other people's alley.
So I do want to say this. It wasn't the original Tim Buckley version. I am 100,000% pro putting Tim Buckley songs and stuff, even if it's covers. And I appreciate the self-restraint to not use Song to the Siren for any of the Atlantean stuff.
Yeah, that would have been
I definitely appreciate that.
Honestly, I miss the Superman funeral with Everybody Knows. I thought that was a good part of the original Justice League. I like the beginning of that.
But the Superman funeral was the end of BVS.
But there's a version of Justice League where it begins with Everybody Knows, where it shows people on the street going crazy and like
a recap of those
and all
events.
that. Yeah,
I do not remember that. I must have blocked it out.
I enjoyed that cover, and I enjoyed the symbolism and the visuals.
I only saw Justice League once,
and there was no Icky Thumb.
Thumb?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
Icky Thumb felt a little too not. It didn't feel right.
It felt very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that did bother me about the music choices in here. That something I talked to you, Muha, about the other day was the fact that one thing that kind of took me out of the moments was when it was a little too on the nose as to here's what you should be feeling right now. And no more is that epitomized.
Yeah, that's why I don't really.
With the Lois Lane scene in chapter 1, when they have like the dramatic sad music when they give her a latte, and then she sadly walks over to the memorial for Superman, and then the music loudly goes, "They say gods can't die, but they lied."
So, one more thing about music before I get back to my original point.
Yeah, sorry, I had to bring that up.
They needed to fucking cool it with the Wonder Woman theme.
Oh my god! Every time,
that's my favorite meme.
It got comedic.
Like, I saw one thing that said Wonder Woman gets toast. In the background.
Yeah, but also just out of nowhere.
I actually like that theme.
I love that theme. I love that a little too much to be mad.
I hate to be the guy to make a JoJo reference, but it reminds me of the Pillars thing. But not like the Pillarsman theme, how it's used, but like in all the shitpost memes that the community makes using it. That's how it felt to me. But Aquaman, just for the rest of the movie, was just the same character. I didn't feel like he really had anything. It was very sick, very, very awesome when the water's coming in, and then he comes and stops with the tridents.
That was cool.
Still cool.
I don't really think they gave him good reasons to actually do that, though.
I agree.
So,
also, did Amber Heard always have a British accent?
Nope.
Is that new?
No.
That is new. That is new and very weird. And I still
nor did Willem Dafoe have
if you know
locks.
If you know anything about her, she flips on a dime, they say.
Oh, damn. I didn't want to go there. I'm glad somebody did, but I didn't want to be that guy.
No, I definitely I watched Aquaman more recently, like back in December or something, and I definitely The moment she came on screen, I was just like, oh god, this is actually harder to watch because of her.
Yeah,
but
Aquaman's one of those movies that's like, it's so Amber Heard aside, it's so dumb that I kind of love it.
it's so over the top. It's just having a good time doing what it's doing, and that's all.
Yeah,
that matters.
and movie,
James Wan, baby.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's the thing we got to remember with Hollywood movies as well. Hollywood movies don't owe you reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
as long as they stay true to themselves and they make sense, you could decide to like it or not. But they don't owe you shit when it comes to that.
Well,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
there's also this whole thing where one thing that I like to say about, especially movies, but most art, it's the question of not is this what you want it to be, but did they achieve what they set out to do?
Yes,
Exactly.
What was their goal?
That is very, very
and did
true.
they achieve that? So, and that's, Snyder, I think, to a T all over this movie.
And that's
For
a lot
sure.
of my point about him as a
Yeah.
director.
But I will say this, in terms of Aquaman, I felt like the changes with this character were more subtle. And I feel like he was actually a very different character than he was in the original Justice League. Because
No,
He was.
first
Whether
off,
there was.
from the get-go, none of this bullshit dick measuring contest with Batman.
yes.
Like,
Yeah,
none of this, like,
fair.
puffing
fair.
up his chest and getting in his
Valid.
face and being like,
Absolutely true.
all those fucking quips and shit. I didn't like that. In the original, he was weirdly fucking assholey to Cyborg for no reason.
He was
and
kind of
in this
assholy to
one-
everybody in this movie.
You know
though.
why?
He's
Because
kind of
Cyborg is
standoffish,
a robot.
but it makes a point to show that he actually gives a shit. Like when they start talking about Cyborg, he's like, dude, this kid just lost both of his parents. Like, he's been through a lot of trauma. You can't just expect him to be okay and just ask him to do shit. And what they say, like, I thought you didn't care, and he said, I never said that.
I missed the
it's-
lasso part too, by the way.
What
Like where he's forced to tell the truth about his own feelings and shit.
I felt like that was too fucking. I like the way you put that. Felt too Guardians of the Galaxy. That felt too much like a Marvel movie injected
True.
into it.
Well, yeah, because we have the introspective thought, we don't need that. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I thought it was
And-
fun.
Honestly, in the original cut, that was one of my favorite parts
Yeah,
because
yeah.
out of what that movie was trying to do, that was one of the best. That was the places where it landed the best. But in this version of the movie, it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah,
But
like,
I do
Aquaman-
feel like the way that they portrayed Aquaman just it didn't feel like as much of a cartoon. He was grumpy and standoffish, but like it didn't mean that he didn't actually give a shit or connect with the characters. He didn't have that vibe that I hate so much about so many Marvel movies, which is where, it seems to be like framed as something to aspire to just be an asshole guy, and that's what's charming and that's what's strong and that's the charismatic thing to do is just be a dick to everyone around you, and people will love you anyway because you're awesome. Like, I fucking hate that so much.
Yeah, I'll give you
And
that.
I don't feel like that was a
of
part
yeah.
of this cut, whereas it was part of the original.
Right.
No, I think that is a valid critique of a lot of Marvel characters like Star-Lord or Iron Man or stuff like that. And while those characters got better with time, that it was absolutely a problem and still
They
is
were
in a
all
lot of
just the
ways.
same character,
Um,
just in a different lens.
yeah,
Very
so like-
little variation in the hero's
Yeah.
journey.
Yes.
and that's a valid critique. I'll give you that. That being said, I do feel like Aquaman does kind of embody kind of what I was saying earlier, and just me having a hard time investing in his characters and intention versus execution. Is the fact that I see what you're talking about, Muha, and I agree that that's what they were trying to do. To me, it just didn't register as interesting, and I was bored watching him. So for me, there wasn't enough for me to even get to the point where I'd be interested in the nuances of that performance. Not that it was a bad performance, but the way that it was executed to me did not grab me in a way that I felt invested.
It was more understated though, and I feel like that fit his character more as someone who he wasn't necessarily invested at first. He didn't really want to be a part of this, so he begrudgingly joins the crew.
And that's fine.
Like the scene between him and Wonder Woman at the graveyard, like I really like that. I really like the way that he quietly connects with her and how he's not really intense about it. Like the way that he says, "How about that?" Like it feels like a profound moment, but he's not really trying to push it to be a profound moment. He's just like, "Yeah, okay." I can
see that, and I can get that. It just, again, there just wasn't enough for me to get to the point where I care about those nuances. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like I don't really have a reason to like this character to begin with, let alone care about the nuances.
Well, also, let's put something else in perspective. Jason Momoa is a relatively baby actor as far as craft goes. He's very new to this still. He was hired mainly because of
he's a big muscle guy.
Game of Thrones.
Well, I wouldn't just say big muscle guy. I would say more of in the way that they hired Arnold when he first started out was for his physicality, his complete control of his physicality and his body to be able to do the other things that other people can't do. You know what I mean? Like clown Arnold if you want to. I ain't never seen nobody else play a more convincing robot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Peter Weller.
So there you go.
Counterpoint, Peter Weller, RoboCop.
Peter Weller, very good. But also remember that Peter Weller had a life-size animatronic made of him.
Yeah.
A lot of those are not him. So there you go.
So yeah, I could see how Aquaman might have landed a little. This is actually something that I've thought about a bit, and for someone who's such a maximalist, and I think that this is something that people have trouble coming to terms with, is that Zack Snyder is such a massive maximalist when it comes to his action scenes and the bombastic moments in movies that people kind of ignore or don't give him credit for the more subtle touches that he tries to give his movies throughout the quiet moments. And I think that's what he was kind of relying on when it came to characterizing someone like Aquaman, who had his own movie lined up coming up next. And I can understand
more quiet moments that relied on them actually interacting with each other more, like the graveyard scene or the part where him and Flash, then maybe I could have gone into it more. But for the most part, most of the scenes where they're all together largely serve to give exposition or be in an action sequence. Very rarely do they ever just sit down and talk with each other, like as people. And if there's more of that in this 4-hour movie, I would have gone on board with it more. But there just wasn't enough for me to gravitate towards that.
So what you're saying is you want the 5-hour cut so we can get proper character moments. Like, we need more character moments.
You know what? If the 5-hour cut gave us more character moments, yes, I would watch a 5-hour cut.
Fuck yeah! Yeah!
This is not going how I thought it would go.
Muha reached for the stars and he came down with one.
My favorite character moment. That's a more drama. There's lots of good character touches in the fight scenes, but my favorite moment in the film is when Cyborg's with his dad and he's like, I wasn't sure you're gonna come. It's like, you're my father, even through all the
like that's why I said Ray Fisher is
everything
the strongest moments in this film.
What was said was great, but everything that wasn't said with that landed even harder.
I do
that was
a
beautiful scene.
Performance.
And that's one of the stamps I want to put on this discussion is that it was probably chopped out of the movie because some producer didn't think it would be believable to the demographic audience because they're both black. And I'm telling you, discussions get made like that and things get carried out on that kind of stuff alone. You gotta stop doing that to black actors. Black actors need roles like that. They have to be able to do these things.
So here's the thing. I want to leave and I'll leave this up to the board, but I think that we should leave Cyborg for last because he's going to be the meatiest discussion.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I can do
and I feel like we can go over what's up with Wonder Woman and Superman quickly enough. And I don't think it's a really huge thing. Like, are we done? We're done talking about Flash, right? We talked about Flash.
Yeah, we talked
about Flash. We talked about Aquaman. Can we start with Wonder Woman?
We talked about Batman.
Yes,
we did talk about Batman.
So yeah, let's go to Wonder Woman and then Superman then.
So and maybe this is because when I saw the Snyder cut when I did, as opposed to when I saw the theatrical cut of Justice League, Wonder Woman hadn't come out yet, right? Justice League came out first.
Yeah, Wonder Woman came out.
And then, are you sure? I thought Wonder Woman came out that summer.
No, Wonder Woman came out before Justice League because it was after BVS.
That's right. No, Wonder Woman came after BVS, before Justice League.
Okay, but I don't know. Something about the Snyder Cut's depiction of Wonder Woman makes her a bit more refined, and I like that as opposed to how impetuous she was in her own movie. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that she's been around that long and has really developed ways of dealing with things that are completely unlike she was in her youth was important for me to see. Like for example,
No fish out of water stuff.
Exactly.
fair.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like she takes a lot of shit, a lot of harsh words, a lot of punishment, but you could see it's still her right at the end when Steppenwolf's on his way out and she put that extra stank on it and chopped his up. I was like, yes. That's the one we know, right?
And I will say it was definitely
fuck
very
this guy.
cool to see like the actual like reflecting the bullets off the bracelet. Like the whole bang sequence is a lot of fun to watch. Even though
The bank sequence is so much better.
I'm not used to these DC movies having great action scenes.
Right?
And the bank scene especially was a good note to start on.
Although it was kind of like the one part that I think we all joked about, like Muha, you, me, and Grant were joking around about the fact that the last guy in the bank scene, how she just like evaporates him.
He just tried to fucking gun down a bunch of little kids. So,
I know. I'm not
for
saying
no reason.
But
you get what you get.
You
get what you get.
Like, I'm not saying you didn't deserve it, but it was more just like, I hope you didn't kill a bunch of cops below.
My issue with Wonder Woman is less this film centric and less Gal Gadot. I mean, you could talk about her merits as an actress, or not.
That's its own overall.
Yeah,
that's its
so
own
I don't really want to get into that right now, but just the character of Wonder Woman has been done so fucking dirty by DC. They have no idea what to do with Wonder Woman. They have no idea, and this is the best attempt. But then when you put that, because this is part of a extended universe, when you put that with everything else, it just makes it even more of a mess. And that's not Zack Snyder's fault. Zack Snyder by far has done the best version.
He had a blueprint for her that stretched beyond this, and they tanked it.
Although there was an original idea
I also think that
cut, like, convinced him not to do, thank God, which involved a lot of rape. So let's not pretend like all the original ideas were golden.
I'm not. I'm saying that there was an arc that had continuity until it left his hands.
That's got shattered. And now he has to pick up pieces, and he's trying to make the full puzzle with pieces that are missing and pieces are there, like some are cut in half, or they're bleached out so you can't see them. So it's to his credit that Wonder Woman actually did as good as she did in this film. This is 100% a WB, just WB fuckery. For years.
I also think that I don't think Patty Jenkins is as focused on a specific message or vision for a Wonder Woman
as people get credit for.
As Snyder was with this movie.
I don't know if
granted she's not.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Hold up. Like, when you look at the Patty Jenkins movies, the first one is fine. It's a better version of the first Captain America. And it has a good theme of her, being kind of charming and everything, and having this cool dynamic with the whole fish out of water thing. But that's her as a young superhero.
Right.
And from everything I've heard about Wonder Woman 1984, which I'm gonna see for myself tomorrow because I have to, that did not really come together in the sequel.
I don't know if that's Patty Jenkins' fault though, because
hold up. You take all the blame. You take all the credit. So the first movie, she was given specific instructions, and she kind of had to make it out of what they gave her. The second movie, she had on her own. They gave her the keys.
But let's be clear, this movie was also made during the AT&T acquisition, and there were a ton of reshoots. So
but it's still her movie, though.
I don't know. I'm willing to bet there was a lot of studio interference on this too. I could be wrong, but like everything I've heard about
the general script and message of the movie, from what I've seen, are kind of a fucking mess that don't consider larger themes and have some really problematic elements. And overall, big point in the middle of it, she's still fucking holding the candle for this dude who died for her 60 years ago.
For like a few months.
So much so that she opens up questions to a lot of problematic shit.
And I agree with that. I'm not defending 84 at all. Like, don't get me wrong.
But that's what you're doing.
I'm not defending the movie. I mean, I'm wondering how much is Patty Jenkins' fault, because I have a feeling we don't know the full story yet. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, if I take her at her own word, she was interviewed and she said they took the handcuffs off her for this movie.
Okay.
So that I'll take her at her.
That is her own admission. And
Fair
so
enough.
I think
with that in mind, even though this was not entirely focused on Wonder Woman, the way that she was portrayed in this, the way that she was such a badass, the way that she did not feel a need to be super clever and just kind of walked around like being confident, it really felt like she was this elder goddess just hanging out with these bunch of like younger people.
Mature.
And she's much more mature, and she approaches it as such, and it felt like that. It didn't feel like she had to prove herself or had to have clever things to do the whole time. She just felt like a real fucking person just hanging out that didn't have to be a character the whole time. She felt real. When she had conversations with Batman, when she had conversations with Aquaman, they felt like natural conversations. They didn't feel like they were trying to jam entertainment into every fucking moment.
I don't really agree with that, but I see what you're saying.
While I was while I was watching the movie, I turned to my son I did a IRL meme with him. I said flash to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, you ever wish upon a star? Once in the 80s, but I did not enjoy it.
So I think I don't want to bring this into dragging too much into Wonder Woman 1984, even though I kind of started that. But I will say this: Muha, Justice League is better than 1984.
It is. It's
Steel is better than 1984. Catwoman, Elektra.
No, Catwoman is not better than 1984. Catwoman is not better. Catwoman is not better. Don't say that.
Don't see for yourself. See for yourself, Muha.
Don't say that.
Have you watched Catwoman recently? Because I have. It is hilarious.
Don't say that.
But anyway. All right. Well, it's gonna be a bad time. But look. So when she was talking to Cyborg, so she talks about like. This is part of the whole thing that makes it such a big difference for me is that we can talk about the overall themes being generally similar. We can talk about the overall plot being the same, but that's like saying, Lion King is just Hamlet. Like, yeah, it's Hamlet, but the execution matters. Like the characters matter, the acting matters. Like all the little pieces that come together to make this picture, they fucking matter. So
I got my issue with Lion King. We can talk about that off camera.
No, we're not getting into that. It's already too long.
I'd love to hear it,
but later.
We're in chapter 3. We're not even close to finishing here.
Yeah, I said off camera. I didn't say
okay.
When she talks to Cyborg in that moment that we were talking about, I really like how the moral of that is, and it follows through with the rest of the movie in the fact that this is the only time she fucking brings it up, as opposed to making a whole fucking movie about it.
She actually brings it up like 2 or 3 times. Just saying. Love you, buddy.
When does she bring it up?
She brings it up when Batman is making the giant tank ship, and she says, "I know somebody else who would like to fly it."
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, I thought she was talking about Superman. Fuck. I just kind of.
Yeah, but she's not bringing it up as like, I'm sad about this. It's more like she remembers this guy. Like it's a reference. But this is the only time where she brings it up as something that's really defined her character. And she brings it up as a thing from the past. And she brings it up as a grief that she had to go through and that she had to overcome to reconnect with the world and become better. It's a moment that's about healing. It's a moment that's about growing. And it's a moment about not being defined by your grief and your trauma. And it's something that Cyborg really needs to hear in that moment. And it's a really good, human, healthy message in that moment, as opposed to, making it her character to just never move on from this thing.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
And not to worry, because apparently that dude she's talking about can fly anything.
Including I'm sorry, I don't want to give 84 spoilers here.
I do not give a fuck. I do not care. I'm saying it out of sheer sense of obligation. You think I watched Aladdin because I wanted to, Michael? I watched it for you and your show.
Wow, just throw that guilt card on me over a joke. Jesus.
You know what I've sacrificed for this show, Michael. I've texted you through these movies. You've seen me suffer. You think I went and saw 50 Shades of Black for the fuck of it?
Wow. Apparently, I touched a nerve there.
You didn't go see a Medea movie with him, did you?
No, I'm not that committed. You're
Yeah,
on
that was
there,
Grant.
Grant went and
Oh,
saw that
God.
with you?
He saw 2 of them with me.
We didn't see that.
Wow.
God,
Oh
we
my
didn't see
God.
a Medea. We saw that one Tyler Perry film.
Temptation. I still remember that.
my
That's still my
God.
top.
Oh,
I
that's
still
one-
remember that woman
All right,
behind
all right.
us from that movie. You remember her?
Oh my. I do now, yeah.
The woman who just went, "Bitch, what?" Like in the middle of
Yeah.
the movie.
It is genuinely one of the worst films I've ever seen. But
All right,
that's
so-
for a different discussion.
Yeah, it is.
Let's refocus. Let's refocus. I like what this did for Wonder Woman, even if it was a bit more in passing. I feel like those small moments were really important. They did small moments where they took different takes, like when she says Kal-El no when he comes back.
Yeah,
They took a slightly different take for that moment, and the tone of that moment is changed because of the moment she picked. It's not like a mom going like, Superman, no. Like,
Oh, no.
See, I kind of
it
giggled
really
at that scene. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie.
it's not like a joke like, oh no, we're gonna have to fight him, I guess. It's like, no, my friend, like, listen, it's me. Like, it felt that different. It's important what fucking take you choose. Like,
See, I'm glad you
But
liked
yeah.
that scene because I giggled.
And the
when that
Flash
happened.
in that scene also. If we get into the fight
The
scene,
Flash
we'll
was
talk
better
about
in that
but-
scene, bar none.
Oh
Flash
my!
was way better.
Completely changed the tone.
Yeah.
Made the scene
Yes.
really work.
Yeah.
For sure.
Shut his
Yeah.
fucking mouth. Also, Superman didn't say a goddamn word, and
And
that
I
made
loved it.
way more sense.
And it was
That made
everything.
way more
Yeah.
sense.
It was
And he was
everything I
fucking
hoped for.
confused. Yeah, exactly. It's like everything about that scene makes more sense. And the fact that Batman didn't like call Lois Lane, that she actually had a through line to be
Yes.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like she had a reason to be there that wasn't
Yes.
just like, oh, better bring backup to manipulate his feelings. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
they really
valid.
believed in their plan.
But see, for Superman's mouth, we cannot blame Joss Whedon and we cannot blame Zack
Man,
Snyder.
Yeah.
I went back
It's Tom
and
Cruise's
rewatched that
fault.
scene.
It's
I went
Tom
back
Cruise's
and
fault.
rewatched that scene, man. I went back and rewatched that scene and just watching the like,
Yeah,
bleed.
but
Like,
that's
it's so bad.
But that right there is Tom Cruise's fault. It's 100% Tom.
And that's
Cruise's
like-
fault.
What for Impossible, Mission Impossible?
Yes, he okay. So to do the Joss Whedon cut, they had to have reshoots. Tom
Yeah.
Cruise forbid him to shave his beard
Oh yeah.
as
His
a clause
mustache.
in his contract,
Yeah.
and that's why they digitally put his face on.
Was it Tom Cruise that did that? I thought it was
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is one of the executive producers on
Oh.
the Mission Impossible series. He pays for most of it.
Interesting. I
It's
did not
his
know-
pretty cool,
contract.
actually.
It's his contract that ruined Justice League.
Well, one other thing.
I wouldn't say that. I would say
The Superman mouth alone ruined that film for me. I have to be
Fair.
real. I have to be
When it
real.
opened.
One, the
I still
opening
remember.
scene
Yeah, the moment
The
that you're
opening
sitting in
scene took
theater,
me
you're
out of the
like,
whole
all
film.
right. Yeah,
took me out of the whole
moment
film.
you sit down in the theater and you're like, all right, maybe this won't be that bad. Maybe Joss did
Right.
a decent enough job, and it comes up on screen and you're like,
And I'm like, nope.
oh.
I'm done.
Fuck.
I legit almost walked out.
All right, so let's talk
It was
about
bad.
Superman since we're on the topic.
Yeah, let's jump over to Superman.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, let me go this first. I definitely made a big sticking point how much I did not like Superman's interpretation of BVS. I
Well,
know
I'm gonna
I
put
know
it
this
this
interpretation on that, but like, I will say, this interpretation in this movie actually at least makes it make more sense. It's not
Yeah.
forgivable. I'm still gonna give it a full pass or say that it like redeems in any way, but it's consistent and it follows through on the through line. At the very least, it's a complete version of this version of Superman, for better or worse. So I can at least say from that angle, I actually did not mind the Superman in this film. I still
Okay.
think the inclusion of the black suit was a bit unnecessary and kind of just needless fan
So-
service.
So
But
okay, the Death of Superman. I have two favorite comic book runs. Okay, one is the Death of Superman, and the other one is the '90s original run of Jim Lee's X-Men. Okay, Death of Superman is near and dear to my heart.
Same.
I feel almost as
On the
if it
shelf
is
somewhere.
until I saw the black suit. I have literally gone decades without seeing anything about it, and I feel like it has almost been wiped from existence. I needed that fan service
Mhm.
as a Superman fan. I needed
agree.
that.
I don't really see what people's issue with the suit is.
I don't
It-
have
it-
it. Yeah,
it
I don't have an
makes-
issue with it.
I think
It-
for me personally, it's more like, okay, at least in the original Death Superman story, the black suit had a point.
What was the point, Michael?
The point was that he was weakened because he was still like virus still recovering, so it absorbed radiation.
He was in a Kryptonian like kind of. It was almost like the Odin sleep. He's like in a Kryptonian chamber, and he's in a coma. And
like the suit was meant to like absorb like increased solar radiation to
right
by strength.
Yeah, so he can heal faster.
And this one, it's more of like a metaphorical purpose, which I could saw going for it. But for me, it's like it didn't distinguish itself enough from the original suit to really make that much a difference to me.
Well, it's his father's design.
Yeah, and I get that it's him accepting like his Kryptonian heritage and all that stuff. I get the metaphorical meaning behind it. For me, it's like if you're gonna go that route, okay. I just wish it was more visually distinctive from the classic red and blue. But for this one, it's more like it's the exact same suit except with like a color shift.
I needed it, man.
Fair enough.
No,
Isn't that what it is?
I
figure that's what it is. I just feel like, isn't it just a palette swap?
It's a palette swap.
I needed it.
Wasn't that what it was originally?
That
like, aside from what it signifies visually, isn't it just a
same
thing but different colors?
Really, no.
No,
it was slightly different design.
But also for the comic books, it was indicative of his demeanor. He was learning how to be Superman again.
Sure.
And so he started out with the absence of color, and I think there's something powerful about that.
I agree, and I think the metaphor just completely works in this film. Also,
I
not for the exact same reasons, but it's clear that this is a Superman who literally has a new lease on life.
Okay. So let's also let's talk about like the minor differences about that whole sequence. Aside from the fact that he doesn't speak, aside from the fact that they removed the Flash landed on Wonder Woman and he's looking at her tits, like they removed all that stuff, replaced by the Aquaman joke. The moment where he just looks at him and points angrily, I fucking love that.
It's definitely better.
That was a great moment. But there was someone on Twitter that talked about the scene that happened afterwards where they go back to the Kent farm, and he said that she said, "You spoke," and he said, "Did I not before?" And they thought that it was a good segue because like it made sense with the scene, but that line sounded familiar. And it turns out in the original Justice League, he did say "did not before," but the line that she said to lead him into that was, "You smell good."
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I didn't even. I must have mentally blocked that out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Imagine as a writer making it like forcing all these shitty lines into the scene before and being like, "Well, we can't have them say that he didn't talk. So let's. What would she say to him in this moment
right there,
that he would say?"
That smells like a producer decision to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That smells like somebody read that and was like, "Well, doesn't make sense."
To me, that just feels like a great microcosm of just exactly how much they missed the point.
Yeah.
So, and how far they went to miss the point.
It works with their characterization, and they're kind of like rebuilding their trust with each other. And then also it's like fuck you, Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Good.
But
no, it's good.
But I'm gonna be honest, when it got to that point, I started looking at my phone in the original cut. Did Cyborg, his auto defense system, did that always go off like that? Is that always what started?
The little arms.
Okay, so that's still a little.
You got the little tiny arms.
That's still a little contrived for me. Why didn't it do this? Like when the Parademon was outside his apartments, and then it got scared away by a cop and a bum. Like why? Just for all those moments, why did his defense system not go that haywire? And I get Superman's
because he wasn't facing it directly.
I think the reason is because he was
still feels a little contrived.
Like the mother box in him, like reacted to the fact that he's a Kryptonian. I think that was the reason.
That's the other thing is that he's part of an alien technology.
Okay,
I
didn't think
knowledge of other words.
I didn't think
that is
that makes
actually
sense.
defend.
No.
Other thing. I forgot to bring this up during the Cyborg bit. I want to talk about him discovering the powers within himself, being told by his dad on the tape recorder.
Oh yeah,
my god.
The powers that he has. Nice little bit of exposition, but it was expository, but I also felt like it was appropriate for being a montage of him figuring out what he's doing.
Yeah.
And there was the moment in this movie that really felt like fucking Joss Whedon does not get this shit, and that's why he cuts all this stuff out. Really important characterizations. and something that again speaks to me about the fact that Zack Snyder gets certain things that a lot of people don't, is the sequence with the waitress mom. The single mom with the waitressing job, just going through all this rough shit, and he gives it like he fixes her bank account, he gives her $100,000. Right. Now, it doesn't show him doing it for everybody. That's true, but we can't watch him doing that for everybody. That's not the movie. But I can't remember the last time that I saw a superhero actually addressing the societal fucking damage and violence
of what's going on around them.
Yeah,
being
like
the hero.
He's not just attacking somebody. It's like, oh, she's getting mugged. Oh, they're getting attacked by an alien. Like, this is not a direct physical threat. This is a societal violence. This is poverty, the biggest threat to most people in this country. And the fact that they had this character having that level of empathy and showing it to her and just being off in the corner and watching her like react to it, and just him feeling happy about that there was something really just beautiful about that to me. And then contrasting it with the fact that he turns around and walks away, and as he's walking away, a couple walking down the street sees him and recoils, and he remembers what he is and what he looks like and how society feels about him, and puts his hood up.
And let me put my stamp
Beautiful
on that
moment,
again.
also.
And because he's a black character, he can approach that in a different way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfectly bad.
That's okay. Just I'm sorry, Chris.
I wanted you to say that. I knew you were going to say that, but I wanted you to be the one.
And the other
to say
thing, like
that.
when people complain about like, oh, well, what makes this woman so special? If this character, the way it's set up, would do that for everybody given the chance he could.
But what
You
made her
don't
so
need to
special
see-
was that she wasn't special.
That too,
That's the point.
because it's everybody.
Yeah.
This could happen to everybody. And
Thank you, Rian Johnson. Wait, wrong movie?
if I want to talk about my thoughts to that movie.
go for it, go
But
for it.
anyway,
No.
so people are saying like, oh, well, you know, it's selfish to only do it for some people and everybody. It's like, this character, you don't need to see it to know what's happening. This character will do that for everybody he can find.
Yeah.
Instantaneously.
If he can help it. Yes.
Yeah.
Selflessly,
It's-
knowing that people will not accept it.
I will say
That's a merit that someone on, I saw someone give Zack Snyder, and I thought it was put really well. They said Zack Snyder is really good at storytelling through implication, and I appreciate that.
I can see that.
We're on our last
like,
minute.
I appreciated the idea behind it. I really thought the idea where they explain Cyborg's powers was interesting. I thought some of the visual metaphor of it was a little goofy outside of the mom scenes. I thought that was good. I did not need to see the bear and the bull wrestle. I thought that was kind of like economy as explained by a 13-year-old a little bit. When I thought the dialogue and him explaining was doing the job perfectly fine. I thought you just could have cut that out and left it as is. But like I like the idea behind it, and I do agree with Muhan Ran in that, the idea that it was like them impacting an issue that really matters is something that should be done more in superhero movies. I do completely agree with that.
Yes.
If anything, I wish I saw Cyborg take advantage of his powers more, because he kind of doesn't after this point. Like, he mostly just like hacks some shit for the rest of the movie. But
well, he
that
was kind of
introduction scene
preoccupied,
is still
you
good.
know, not having the world end and shit.
The whole
So I
end of
give
the
him a
world
pass.
flow.
I give him a pass for that.
That's fair. Okay, we're gonna have to take another break there. I guess wait for the title card of whatever we're gonna put on there, and it's gonna say
I'm thinking of ending things.
eventually.
I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
We'll be back. All right, where were we? We just finished talking about Superman.
Yeah,
Well, I got one more thing about
and
Superman.
like a side note about
Yeah.
Cyborg too. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Chris.
So we can title this They Fixed the Superman Rebirth Scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of many things wrong in the original cut, when the Flash runs and then Superman like goes over, it's the way it's played. It's like I can see
It's
you.
like,
That is one thing I
funny.
legitimately loved in that scene.
And this one, it's the realization that you, as powerful as you are, and Flash canonically, and even in this film, is incredibly powerful. Superman's still there. And if Superman wants to get you, he will get you.
I also
I
like
love how
they, for the most part, cut out the Flash's goofy ass run from the Whedon cut that I fucking hated.
Yeah.
Whereas you like the weird like throwing his arm shit. He's still doing that, but like to a lesser degree.
well,
Honestly, that's a Ezra Miller being in his own movie thing.
Yeah.
I also feel like part of it was more like it was more like swimming than normal running, and I just felt like there was this.
It was so
There
weird.
was
I
this
kept watching
different-
like, who the fuck runs like that?
Yeah, it changed throughout the movie too, so I don't know. But I did like how the Flash is faster than Superman, but just barely.
Yeah.
So
Right.
as
I like that debate is over too.
yeah,
Yes.
his inexperience in that scene is what almost gets him killed because he's freaked out, but he's definitely still faster than Superman. And I still like that the funny moments in that scene, like I was talking about with him running to Aquaman instead, like they feel funny, but they don't feel out of place. They feel like fuck ups that would actually happen. And the moment where Superman sees him, especially because it does a couple of cuts back and forth, it doesn't come across as, as humorous of a moment. It comes across as genuinely like, oh, fuck.
Like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not safe.
Really carried through the way it was intended.
It carried through much better. The whole, like, his approach to Superman and his approach to Batman and the way that he works into that moment felt a lot better. The headbutt against Wonder Woman for some reason didn't feel as cheesy. It's really weird how the context of the rest of the scene can make moments that aren't actually changed feel different in tone. It didn't feel like because when the whole scene is jokey, that just feels like silly slapstick, like, haha, look, he Looney Tunes her. In this moment, it's like, oh, fuck. Like, they're going toe-to-toe. And Wonder Woman is almost at Superman's level here, but he's just like, fuck you, bah. Like, it hit on a level that it didn't originally. And I understand that it's kind of a trope. I understand that it's kind of cheesy, but, like, there's a difference between a movie being overly earnest because it's trying to manipulate you and a movie being earnest because it's just being really sincere. And when it comes to Zack Snyder, that's one thing that I do feel. I don't feel like he's ever being manipulative. I do feel like he really does feel the emotions that he's trying to put on screen. He's a true believer
in the art that he's putting up there.
Yeah.
Whether or not you connect with those scenes personally is a matter of personal taste. But I don't think any of it is being inauthentic and manipulative.
I do agree.
So, the first time I watched this movie, there were 4 times I shed tears. The first 2 were just shedding tears. The second 2, I fucking broke. Both times. The first one was when Superman came back. When you have this whole movie being about his absence and the fact that, like, what I was saying about the theme of Batman carrying on his legacy as penance, like Ron said, for his sins over the past couple of decades. I really felt that when he came back, like the fact that everyone throughout the movie is talking about how Superman was their hero, how he was an icon and all this stuff. And someone actually pointed this out. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. But about that moment when Superman first appeared, I knew it was coming. But when that moment happened, I shed a couple of tears because for the first time in my life of gradually growing to understand this character better and better and knowing what that character symbolized and what it meant to other people in the world, regardless of the pitfalls of his portrayal throughout Man of Steel and BVS. Overall, what I felt shined through, all that coming together for that moment where Superman actually appears, it fucking got to me. It really got to me. And the way that scene falls apart didn't come across as unserious or funny. It came across as them really panicking about this and working through that scene. And the moment when he sees Lois, again, I know it's kind of a trope to have the one person that you connected with and loved pull you out of the darkness. I know that his chemistry with Amy Adams has not been the best throughout the movies, but I still felt that moment. I felt that moment really strongly. And that kind of got a couple tears out of me too. Just like the idea of him feeling that fucking far away from himself and feeling that like violent and angry and confused, hurting the people who were actually there to help him, his friends, his family, and having someone able to cut through that fucking noise of rage and make you remember who you are. There's a metaphor in there. And I know that it's like, some people might see it as a cheap moment, but I really felt that Snyder felt it that way. And I felt that in that moment too. That really got to me. That really worked for me.
And when you describe it that way, I keep thinking it's like, oh, I wish I did too.
Well, I got choked up for a different reason. And it's a nice touch that, considering all that we've seen in the past 12 months, was a nice touch on Zack Snyder's part. And this is what I mean by, you can say what you want about him, but he knows how to make film. Okay? Superman comes back. I got choked up at that moment too, but for a different reason. Because he literally just rose from the grave, the most exceptional being that has ever walked the face of the earth. And the first thing that the cop does when he sees him is pull out his gun.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, man, no matter how exceptional you are, bro.
That is a very good point.
Somebody still wants to exert control over you. And again, I don't mean to keep bringing it back to being black, but I'm going to keep bringing it back to being black.
No, it's real.
That hits me.
Yeah.
That's
like
I didn't know.
100% true.
Excellent point.
And that again calls back to, I think, also the that also calls back to the previous themes in the previous movies that fell into the same lines of like, if you are an unknown, if you are not what they are familiar and comfortable with, how will they react to you? And even now, being an icon to the world, still
that's the part about Superman that has not been brought into the future. The fact that Superman is an immigrant story told by Jewish men.
Yes,
that is something I wish was
that needs to be brought
intentionally written that way.
Yes, well. Intentionally written, as in you have this capacity for good. You can be just as exceptional with everybody else, sometimes more so. But you look around and you know that you don't belong.
Yeah.
And you know that's how they would see you if they knew what you were truly capable of as well. That's
something that's kind of bothered me about Superman's portrayal, especially in BVS, is granted this was something that came on later the more I studied the character. But having the character made by children of Jewish immigrants, that was made as like a representation of what immigrants can bring to America, being used for overtly fascist imagery, is definitely a sour point.
What do you mean overtly fascist imagery?
There's literally you're talking about the nightmare part.
Talking about the nightmare sequence.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the nightmare sequence.
Still though, it's still a character that's meant to be like, as opposed to like as anti-fascist you can get, being represented as a leader of directly Nazi-esque military.
So wait.
Michael, I would think that veers more to the American propaganda than it does Nazism. I think what they're trying to say, that had he been born anywhere else,
maybe
the shit.
I don't really buy that argument. Like, I'm not saying like it's like the end all be all of bad points about that movie, but it's something that bothers me personally.
I get that, but I also think that as, how do I put this in a way that's not going to cause people to swarm all over this?
We're like an hour and a half into this. I think you got a little bit to worry about.
Maybe there's something to be said about the parallels between nationalism and fascism and Nazism and American hyper patriotism. Which
I don't know if that
possible.
I get what you're saying in terms of what Superman represents in that regard. I think it only works if you see Superman as just a representative of America. That's not how I personally see him.
He's not just that, but that's definitely one of the big themes of his character throughout the years. There was a large part of his fucking career.
That's why Kansas is so important in the Superman story.
He's
it's the heartland. It's Beltway common wisdom. It's
But that's definitely the case. Like, that part feels squishy to me compared to the rest of it.
Also consider the whole Cold War propaganda era of the fact that he was, hyper powerful, could do anything, but he's benevolent and he's always actually right. And the whole point is to trust him because he's actually good at heart, and we just have to believe in that and not be afraid of his.
I'm not talking about that though. I'm talking about strictly using him in regards to clearly Nazi-esque imagery. That's all I'm talking about.
I will say it's not the first time it's been done with Superman either.
Right.
Yes. And I that doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't feel that it feels any more okay this time, But at the same time, looking at that as, considering how he's been portrayed through the years as, a symbol for different things, how America did use him as a propaganda like chess piece for a long time to represent the supposedly benevolent spirit of America when America was not fucking being benevolent. I think there's something to be said about.
I mean, you can do something with that. Again, my objection really is only using a Jewish character in direct parallel with traditionally Nazi imagery. Again, that's my only objection here, not supposing idealistically. You could do that in a different way that doesn't feel directly offensive to the original creators.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think when you think about how it fits into the movie, because it's implied, well, it's not implied, it's stated what caused this was the death of Lois Lane, but it's more implied that, Batman was partially at fault for it. Like he put her in the situation or something like that.
See, and that doesn't make any sense to me either when you really think about it, though.
When you take the character who has that tie to the human world, that's something to fight for. When that's gone and all that's left is the power. And it's the revenge. And the imagery is there in terms that I don't think it's specifically Nazi. I think it's more just
but they have like the
any type of overpowered
red armbands that just have Superman's logo on there. That's pretty directly.
But that's fascism.
That's not
just Nazi.
It's authoritarianism in general.
Yeah, that's Mussolini. That's
So
either way,
say what you will about the Injustice games.
Mm-hmm.
The comic for Injustice was another great way that explored this. And granted, this is a nightmare scene. It's supposed to be a what if, will this happen type thing. So,
and again, I'm not saying like it makes it all
are kind of left intentionally vague, but I think there are stories and they could adapt that into film. But I do understand, I didn't think about the armband points. While I do think it is overall just like ruling authoritarian fascist by force in general. And I think that especially with this version of Superman, that point could come. I don't think it's going to be that way necessarily, because I think even Zack Snyder knows that if they see an evil Superman, he has to be redeemed, or it's just like this one-off
thing he was going to use. He's going to use like he got brainwashed by the anti-life equation, I think is what he's going to go with.
Well, it's also the question of what would cause someone who is that good.
Yeah, exactly.
To finally break.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
and
I
the
think that's
official
the fear of that.
The official ending to the universe was going to be that instance didn't even happen anyway.
Yeah,
they
I kind of figured as much.
They prevent
Flashpoint, right?
Yeah, they prevent it from happening altogether.
Because you saw Cyborg see like Wonder Woman dead and Atlantis being dethroned, and that was always like, this is a possibility, a fear of failure. So I never took the nightmare sequence to literally be foreshadowing to something.
Let me be clear here. I'm not saying like that's necessarily like that makes it all bad. It's more like that's something that personally bothers me.
Okay.
So your feelings on there are yours to have, but just the more I've said his character, more respect I have for his character, the more that imagery bothers me. That's all I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying your viewpoints on it are wrong. I'm only saying, like, for me, that makes me feel uncomfortable. That's all I'm trying to say here.
I feel like it was supposed to make you uncomfortable, though. But I don't think that it should be related to the rest of the character.
Not the way it makes me uncomfortable, though. You know what I mean?
So what Michael is trying to say is that Hollywood has to be careful with how flippantly they use imagery sometimes.
Oh, I agree.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think that's what he's saying.
Yes.
I mean, Antebellum was my worst movie of last year. Let's be clear. There's such a thing as using.
Oh, yours
shocking.
too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was.
Me and Michael watched that one together.
I can only imagine. Oh god.
I watched it to prep for the worst of the year list, and it very handily made it up to the top. It beat everything else. But it's just an example of trauma being used artlessly and carelessly and pointlessly. So
we do have to be careful with that. And somebody as craftful as Zack Snyder should not be walking the line that close, maybe is what Michael is trying to say.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Ron. So that's all I'm trying to say there, guys. Like, it's not like your feelings on it are valid one way or another. To me, like, the use of the imagery with the character with Jewish backgrounds makes me personally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it borders too closely on Nazi imagery for me.
Well, and also considering how steeped we are and still attacking everybody, that's different.
Yeah.
You know,
and in modern times, that's another thing though that I found so good about this series is that the idea of having these characters in modern times just be for granted benevolent and good characters who have stuck to their code flawlessly, it feels like an optimistic view. And to have them be in the modern world, which is doubtful, which is scary, which is cynical, which would not trust them, and have them go through all this shit and maybe lose their way a little bit along the way, that is intriguing to me, especially because the way that in the end they come back to the moral of wanting to do the right thing and be that better version. I think that that's more impactful and more important to have these days than just having, have a character that's like, oh yeah, no, they're good. You should be like this. They're good.
No, for sure. And that's what I was saying, going back to Superman's story. Superman's story in this universe has happened over a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
We're talking about by the time he's an adult male and is taking odd jobs, Batman's already been Batman 5, 6, 7 years, maybe.
Probably.
Like decades.
Maybe more.
Yeah, like
decades.
20, 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So Superman's growth, it should be right at the point where he makes these definitive decisions about where he is at, who he is, and meeting all these people for the first time and having them influence him. You know what I mean? So I think it's right on the money. We just don't have enough time to show Clark Kent in high school. That's what it is.
I will say, like, one thing, like, if they didn't have the little asterisk, oh, he's mind controlled by the anti-life equation, the whole he blames Batman for Lois Lane's death doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because of, like, they show him holding her skeleton, which implies that, like, Darkseid just fucking vaporized her.
Well, yeah. Well,
and then it's me, like, so wait,
or
what the fuck is Batman going to do against Darkseid?
Yeah. Well, to me, in my mind, Darkseid befriended Superman and gave him a purpose. I don't think it had anything. I think
they went to the anti-life equation route for that.
I say that Batman was responsible for Lois, I don't mean like he literally killed her.
Oh yeah, but
like it's an attack that Batman planned or provoked, that she got caught in the crossfire, and that character in that grief would absolutely blame Batman.
Maybe, but it feels if Darkseid vaporizes your wife, wouldn't you go for Darkseid?
No. That's the whole thing with this is I feel like it's similar to, it's definitely got a bit of the DNA from the Unjust series in it.
Yeah.
Where Batman, where Superman was fooled into killing Lois himself. So I think that given that influence, I get the feeling that maybe Superman actually did the action that caused her death, but she was there because of something that Batman had planned, or something.
Even if Darkseid,
it's all speculation.
I could see that working.
There's no way to be sure. I just say that.
That would be a way that would make more sense. I would agree with that.
There are plenty of ways for this to make sense. We can't just look at the scene and be like, well, that's weird. That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It's not going to. It's
at this point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I do want to defend myself. Even if Darkseid did kill Lois Lane and it was an attack or a plan from Batman that went awry, Darkseid's the gun, but Batman would have pulled the trigger. Would have been his type of logic. People think that way in freak accidents. People do think that way.
We'll talk about Darkseid later because I have things to say about this.
At the same point,
but let's
at the same point, this is all just hypothetical from a dream sequence.
Yeah, right. We'll talk about the nightmare later.
But also remember that Superman has humanity because he wants to, not because it's a part of him.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's important to remember.
That's another thing. That's why I have an issue with the idea that Snyder is, Randian just purely. Like the whole idea of objectivism from outside of like a creative perspective, the idea that Superman in this portrayal is nihilistic and Randian doesn't make sense to me, because he's not just being selfish and choosing himself. In the end, he truly believes in being good and doing good and inspiring the world to be better. And that is why he does what he does. It is for altruism, and altruism is kind of fundamentally against what a lot of people take objectivism to be. So that's another thing I
agree. I agree. Christopher Reeve is gone. The smile at the camera, everything's gonna be okay. Superman is gone. Rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? We're never gonna have him again. Because Superman is a comic character. Comic character is culture, and culture is what's going on with the people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think
Superman's been going on for almost 100 years at this point.
He's meant a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yes, but the idea that we can't have like a more positive, smiling Superman, I don't agree with that notion.
No, what I'm saying is the era of Superman was appropriate for the era it was in.
Okay.
Until it comes back around, this is what we have.
And even if this Superman doesn't go that route, there's room for multiple Supermen.
I also think that
but the camera is not done with Henry Cavill yet. I will tell you that.
Yeah,
I hope
Superman's
so.
not done.
Okay, that's the whole thing. Like it feels earned as opposed to just being taken for granted, and that's what I appreciate about this portrayal. But the other thing I wanted to touch on, which is I believe another important distinction, is the Batcave scene where they first start talking about bringing Superman back with a mother box. In the Justice League cut, this was an argument between them, like, oh, we should bring Superman back, and other people being like, no, you don't mess with death. Like, it was like this ethical or religious issue with it almost, where it was just this weird concern about what they believe is right or wrong about resurrecting the dead. And that was what was introducing conflict between them. That felt weird. They didn't feel unified. But in this version, they were arguing about how it might alert Darkseid.
How much time would they have? Yeah,
which first off makes a lot more sense given the context, like how Darkseid and Steppenwolf end up finding the last box.
Right.
But someone typed something in a review that I read, and I just want to read it out real quick because it stuck with me so much that I copied it over. Said, in Snyder's vision, the hero's big concern is that awakening the mother box to resurrect Superman will allow Steppenwolf and the Parademons to find and use it to remake the world. The tension isn't a fight over the ethics of resurrecting a single dead hero, but in deciding to risk bringing about Armageddon.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense for the team to discuss than don't bring back dead people. Ew. Like, this is, they're gods. They're fucking gods. Like they're two gods on this fucking team, and you're talking about literal mythological gods, a technological god born from a godlike technology, and a dude who's not quite a god but can do shit that none of the gods can do, and a dude in a suit, and like so all that together.
Excuse you. Batman is a god.
of money,
yes.
but yeah, I just like that. To me, is a really good example of
Batman is the ideal human. Let's just say that.
There you go.
Sure,
God of humans.
It's a really good example of how the choices on how the characters chose to interact with each other, or how they chose to have the characters interact with each other in these plot beats, which ended up having the same result, can have a drastically different impact on how it makes the movie feel and how it makes their dynamics feel with each other. Like, there are people who are like, oh, it's basically the same plot. They arrived at the same plot beats. It just took a lot longer. I'm wondering if these people even watch movies for anything other than the big blow up in your face moments. Like, do you not care about writing and characters and script and emotions and subtlety? Do you not care about anything in a movie that comes from classic filmmaking? Like, who the fuck are these people?
Muhad, this is Hollywood movies. We're talking checkers, not chess. They don't care.
I'm glad.
I'll answer the question for you right now. They don't care.
Speaking of, can I do a brief sidebar on?
They care. They care about remembering where they parked.
Like, quick brief sidebar on the whole humans things. This made me laugh the second time I watched it. Is when they have the whole, like, this is what happened to the mother box's flashback sequences. They said, like, they separated the mother box between Amazons, Atlanteans, and man, and Amazons have this big, like, guarded, safe for all Amazons to watch it. Do nothing but watch it all day, I guess.
I think that's fucking awesome.
No, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish my thought here. And the Atlanteans seal their box with like a kraken-like creature and seal this really tight box. Humans go, let's just make a hole. and then
after
a hole, it'll be
found,
fine. No one's gonna find it.
and then after it's found and Cyborg hides it again, he digs another fucking hole.
Yeah, I just made that point too.
The first time.
But not before he puts it in his musty ass closet.
Yeah, like,
right.
Clearly the closet was doing better.
One moment. One thing about the closet. Another thing about visual storytelling. Did you notice that it was in the back of the closet, and to kind of hide it, Silas had piled up his old football trophies in front of
His
it?
memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
What a great moment of visual storytelling.
Yeah.
I really fucking love that. I just love that. That was a great beat. Okay. All right, so
let's talk about Cyborg while we're on it.
Again?
I think we did.
Yeah, we talked about Cyborg. I have nothing more to say.
Okay, let's move on then.
I'm pretty much at the end of Cyborg.
I think we've pretty much gotten through everything, and we can talk about the final sequences.
Okay, let's
where not the epilogue, because that's.
Well, can we talk about just some of the things that we can agree are a little ridiculous in this movie?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's name some stuff.
Because there's one of the things I will admit made it hard for me. Like, one reason I decided to rewatch it just because like the very first scene in the movie made me laugh really hard, and I just had a hard time recovering from that point onward. Which is when you have the slow-mo of Superman with that constipated look on his face, and his battle cries are echoing across the world like it's the fucking Aquaman's call from Super Friends.
Battle cries? Hold on.
His death
You're
rattle?
saying
his death rattle.
Sorry, death rattle.
The pain of a man being run through with a spear front to back and dying. The excruciating pain on his face.
A man who does not feel pain. To make that even clearer.
The excruciating pain on his face.
It's not the death,
and then the visual storytelling that the death of Superman
like that. I'm sorry, the death rattle
is what triggered the doom of the world.
I cannot take it seriously. I watched it twice. I laughed both times. Like
it can look a little silly. I'll say it looks a little silly. I still think there's some stuff in this film that looks silly, but I think just
like I don't know.
I think the
device
does its job.
Why it works. I mean,
I guess the point across,
works.
but it's more just like it just goes on for way too long. To me, I just cannot. I laughed every time I saw one.
You should put it on surround sound or on headphones. Like the way it pans around is even.
Yeah.
But
so like that's the case where it's like
I feel like it did its job.
It did its job in a narrative standpoint, but it immediately took me out of it. Because it just kind of points like I was already having a hard time getting into this universe, and going on that like overly indulgent shot right off the bat made it even harder to get into this version of it. So like I get the narrative purpose behind it, but God, I laughed. I just laughed hysterically both times watching it, mostly because it just kept going long past the point where you could like forgiven it and it's like okay, it's silly, but it works. But it just keeps going. It's like now it's over here, and now it's over here, now it's underwater. Blah, blah, blah.
Michael, I don't know. You think that's silly? I think it's silly that's what you chose to focus on.
I know. I watched it twice. That just made me laugh both times.
It's funny the way you tell it for sure.
Like there are a lot of other points I could point out to if I want to, but that one in particular, I found
the fact that you look at someone's face when they are in extreme pain and think they're pooping. That's like what?
I'm sorry, dude. Just the way that's framed, I just can't get into it. I can understand the serious context of it, but I just fucking can't, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, he's constipated, so he can't poop, right?
Yeah, he's constipated. He's trying to poop. He's trying to be pooping.
He's trying.
He can't poop.
And I know it's like, but that's even the thing of it though. It's because it wants me to take it so seriously in that moment, and it's doing these silly things, makes it harder for me to take it seriously. You know what I mean?
But you weren't going to take it seriously in the first place.
But it wants me to take it so seriously to begin with that it makes it harder for me to get into it. That's my point.
Well, I think that goes back to what Muha was saying, is that Zack Snyder is trying to tell stories through implication.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and maybe that's one of his more flimsy attempts, maybe, but honestly, the device does this job. I feel like if somebody as powerful as Superman did by chance get killed, that it would have some kind of effect on our natural habitat.
Sure.
Not to mention the metaphor
Yeah.
that the symbol of hope for humanity is dead, and now the darkness is coming to take us all.
I get the metaphor. The metaphor is obvious and coherent. The metaphor is not the problem. It's more like every time I saw it, I just kept thinking of Aquaman's little bloop bloop from Super Friends, where he's like, "Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo." And that's not a good visual memory to bring back.
All right. Well, that sounds like a personal problem.
It is. It's something that only bothers me. I acknowledge that, but I still think it's silly. But anyway,
I still think there are definitely silly things in this movie that, while they all still currently work, it's still a little like, okay, like it's still a comic book movie at its heart.
It was a little silly,
like
but it was more chilling for me than it was silly.
Fair enough.
It had some silliness to it, especially as it went on longer. I was like, wow, this is still going. Okay.
Yeah, and I immediately took it seriously because of how everybody else was taking the situation. I wasn't focusing so much on the sound of his scream than I was the Amazons watching the box if it moves a fucking inch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what kept it serious for me.
Yeah.
Was that everybody else was like, okay, shit's about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know.
I will say Themyscira needs to modernize. Very clearly this whole this whole 400 BC thing not really working in the modern age. There's a reason Wonder Woman had a jet, you know.
Like if
I don't know, man. She that one lady, like, even in the way back when battle, she shot a fucking glowing arrow at a giant spaceship and it blew the fuck up.
I know, man.
Fine.
I don't know.
I don't know. If Wonder Woman just came back and brought like the concept of security cameras,
they are gods. Like, no, because they want to be on site just in case something happens. That was the fact that they were on site. No, you don't relax.
It did tell
you
you
don't understand military discipline, Michael.
Here's my thing. If I heard the mother box and I thought it was in danger, I just send Cheetah over there. She's hanging out, right?
Oh God.
Oh Christ.
I call up Cheetah on the big oversized cell phone, and I give her the gold suit with the wings and just be like, go help my people out.
Remember, kids, trying to be like your heroes is not something you should try to do. You should stay the insecure version of yourself that you are. You should not try to be better because you're not supposed to be like that. That's the moral of the story. If you do, you're gonna get corrupted by evil.
Can I be like you someday? She just watched a man die. Like vaporized in front of her.
I don't know. She just got.
Maybe she wants to.
If we put it in real time, literally all she just saw was and she got saved. Like,
yeah,
she just witnessed her almost get gunned down by this evil fucking dude. Wonder Woman block all of it in the space of 2 seconds, and then just go, "Fuck you, buddy," boop, and like he's done. Like. By
the way, I don't honestly care. I just thought it was funny.
I thought it was kind of funny too, honestly, especially with the way the hat floated down. It was such a like hokey little thing. I thought that was cute, but I have it in my notes from my first round of watching the movie. I was like, wow, Wonder Woman really doesn't care about property damage, does she? Like, she just fucking vaporized this.
I mean, do any of them? Superman taught him it was okay.
Yeah.
That was a desperate fight. That was a desperate fucking fight. I have issues with how people perceive that fight. It's not fair.
I'm not saying it wasn't desperate. I'm saying a whole lot of shit got fucked up.
Yeah, and it was a bad thing, and the movie goes out of its way to show that it's a bad thing.
They probably still cleaning that shit up.
That's why she contained it. It was a focused frontal blast towards like 3 wall-sized windows, just whoop, and boom,
except for the police underneath them.
Yeah, and fuck all the police that might have been hit by fallen concrete on the way. Like,
yeah.
He is a hero.
Look, my dude, you're gonna pull a gun on Superman, then fuck the police.
Yeah, I know. Like, wow, when were we?
All right, like
anyway.
That was later though. No, but anyway, like I also saw that as being like, well, I've seen a couple things that could have gone wrong with that, but comic
whatever.
Books,
That was fun. That was like more of a funny note for me.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
The woman's 5,000 years old. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, for sure. One other thing, like this is definitely something I know only bothered me, but I'm curious your thoughts on it anyway. is the first Darkseid fight that's in the movie, where it's like the flashback sequence.
Oh, okay.
Really, the big one?
The big one. And another one that kind of took me
Our
out of it.
timer's almost down. You probably need to like start a new Zoom chat so we can talk about this.
Okay, let's take a new Zoom chat, and then we'll talk the Darkseid Rar fight.
Chapter 5. Michael is wrong again.
Parentheses, Muha's still an asshole.
I'm cool with it. I'm on the side of justice.
So let's talk about stuff like Darkseid goes blah.
Wait, I just want to say one thing about Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and Desaad.
Mm-hmm.
Their CGI looked better
This time.
Yeah.
this time. I still think the art direction on them just is not great.
I'm with Chris on this.
Like
I'm indifferent.
I thought it was fine.
It's a little over designed.
I thought Steppenwolf looked really like way better in this one. He looked way better.
So the one thing, like, the CGI just looked really still laughably bad to me was Desaad's communication.
Yeah, like the
He
weird
looked like
like black.
he looked like he was
goo.
straight out of like Devil May Cry 3 cutscenes.
I could see that.
You know?
No. As someone who has gone back and played Devil May Cry 3 HD remaster recently,
Okay,
No.
well, here's the thing. I play Devil May Cry. I play all 4 games because there's only 4.
5.
No, there's only
Ooh.
4
Oh,
games.
excluding
There's
2?
only
Deep
there's only
cuts.
4 games.
Deep
Or
cut.
excluding
I play
2 or
those
5.
2, obviously. 5 is the
I
best
don't know.
one.
Some people have weird fucking opinions. You know that.
This isn't about Devil May Cry.
Yeah. It's about
You
bad
made it
computer
about
CGI.
Devil May Cry.
No, I
Chris.
get that. I thought it was an alright.
There is
like,
the chapter
idea
title.
is just
I
like
think
it's
Chapter
molten
5,
rock.
Devil May Cry.
I think when Wonder Woman goes to Themyscira and she sees the painting of Darkseid on the wall, I think that design for Darkseid looked awesome. And if they replicated that,
Dark May side.
if they put that fully into CGI, like it just kind of felt, the art direction for them felt kind of flat.
Well, also,
I don't think they really.
Also, CGI doesn't always need to be done. The look that they have for the art design can be achieved practically. You know, you
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
some
I
of
agree.
that.
I think
Yeah.
what you have with
I agree. So it's more the art design than CGI. I'm not one of those guys who always blames CGI if a movie looks bad.
yeah,
Well,
like
at the time,
they look kind of
CGI
a
makes it look
design
good.
look. Steppenwolf is definitely an improvement over the original for sure. But the joke I made to you, Muha, about it the other day was, to me, Steppenwolf in this one looks like if Agent 47 impersonated the Michael Bay Shredder.
This is my Superman screaming moment. It just looked fucking silly to me whenever he got the spikes out.
Yeah, I kind of
didn't
chuckled every
It didn't
time.
detract anything, but that was like, okay, like
It's
this
a
is
little
still
silly.
yeah.
Can we just all agree that like having Steppenwolf actually have a motive to get in good with
Yes.
Yeah.
Darkseid was better.
It was
and
better
watching
Yes.
him go,
compares to one.
watching him go from be like really fucking badass, like, oh, I'm getting the mother boxes, to like to completely fucking like
Why won't
cucking
Daddy
out
Darkseid
for
love me?
Darkseid, just like, I'm so sorry, please. And come on, how could it's sad face. Look at sad face. Sad,
Looks like a pug.
sad face Steppenwolf. How can you not?
Bro, you're gonna get us sued.
He's so sad.
It's fair use. It's fine.
How am I gonna get you sued?
Yeah, that's what they say on their mock copyright strikes on your channel.
Oh God, don't even start on those. But yeah, the internet's already taken it over. It's already out there.
It's so good.
Oh,
It's so
wow.
good. Although I do like, although this one gets rid of most of the original image, I still really appreciate this being a reference.
Oh my god.
So
The meme universe.
I
is
love
taking
it.
over.
I love it.
They did that with
So-
Batman when it got announced too.
And like the one
Oh,
thing that
sad.
bothered me
Yeah.
almost as much as the design, the CGI on it, is just the fact that they all had the same voice filters, which like unless you like pay attention to like the little twinges, they all almost sound identical. to the point of like Michael Ironside's not doing anything. You can't have him voice Darkseid.
I like the voice
you're
effect. I
right
like
there,
the
Chris.
dark and rumbly.
I don't. I think they
wrong throat or
sound way
something.
too much alike, and it's really distracting. And it's more like, oh, he just sounds like just a gravelly monster guy, and that's not interesting to me. So that's just my.
They sounded distinct enough to me.
There is one part about CGI is when the God, some LaCroix went down the wrong hole.
That's what you get for drinking LaCroix.
Hey, that's the title card. That's the title card.
That's what you get for drinking LaCroix.
No, the title card is some LaCroix went down the wrong hole.
So when they're dragging the Atlanteans out of the ocean, I swear to God, like they have this walk cycle, and for a split second, two of them had the exact same walk cycle sync up.
Oh no!
And I was like, okay, that should have been caught. That was the only moment where I'm like, that was like really bad.
Is like while we're having Superman's raw death rattle, they cut to Lex Luthor in the ship, and it looks like there's a part where he's looking up at Steppenwolf, and it looks like they just cut a 2D picture of Lex and just put him in this 3D background. Did you guys catch that?
I didn't catch that.
No,
Watch it again because it's really distracting how bad it looks.
It's okay. I'll just keep it in mind. I'll keep it in mind when I watch it again.
That's what I said. Watch it again. Notice that because you'll see it. You'll see if you're paying attention. But like in regards to Darkseid, that's a good transition to that topic. So
that laser is gnarly, man. No matter how many
the Omega
times
Beam looks
it.
cool.
Yeah.
I will say Darkseid's one of those things where it goes in the same category a lot of Snyder films. Like I kind of I'm being too loud. My roommate's being upset with me.
Shut up, Howard.
I'll tell him you said that.
This is important, Howard. I love you, buddy, but this is important.
But anyway, so I just gotta be a little quieter. It's okay. Indoor voice. I am capable of doing so. So Darkseid in this movie, just I don't know. Like I get this is really supposed to be set up for future movies and so on and so forth. But for me, I just got like. You went through all the effort to put Darkseid in your movie, only to have him just not really do much except go rawr at a bunch of people. And
I get that, but
nobody said shit about Thanos the first time we saw him.
I know, but at least that actually led to something. Now it's like this is the most Darkseid we're ever going to get out of this, and is maybe.
Well, I mean, this is.
Well, wait for my prediction, Michael.
I highly doubt this is the last time we see Darkseid.
Yeah, this is not the last time.
I'm wondering, like,
this movie is his Thanos fine, I'll do it myself moment. So I understand still being a little disappointed. Like I get it, but I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I think it's a good setup for a bigger threat.
And for me,
I like that we get, even if we don't get any more. I like that we got some. I like that he got to put his bigger vision into the movie. It makes the rest of the movie make more sense rather than fucking weird goatee D&D Steppenwolf bullshit, calling the box's mother. Like, are you kidding me?
I'm not
that
saying
was
it's not
so
better.
fucking underwhelming. He was less memorable than the enemy from the first Guardians of the Galaxy during that movie. Like, it was so generic and bland.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying it's worse.
The enemy from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was the dance battle at the end.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
But like
that was the enemy.
The entire sequence was another one I couldn't quite take seriously, and I found myself giggling through most of it. Mostly because I feel like it harkened back into the 300 a lot, with a lot of just shirtless man bros going raw in slow motion, and then they go raw.
I'm okay with this.
They go raw.
I'm okay with this.
I'm
okay with this.
And I'm not even saying it's necessarily bad, but it just made me giggle.
This is what I'm here for.
And it's
this is what I'm here for. I want to watch Zeus just go.
So
like Dragon Ball Z.
About that fight, Steppenwolf just goes like right before that. He's like, "There's no Kryptonians, no lanterns." And I'm like, "Yeah, there aren't any lanterns. That's a problem."
I agree because there should be some.
I would have loved to have been.
And they have the one lantern show up who kind of just like in the background, and he just kind of gets like fucked around with. Like
He's around
come
for like
on,
10
man.
seconds.
Yeah,
You know what I've
come
loved
on.
to have been the fly in the
It
wall
was a
for?
cool cameo, dude.
One
It was a
fucking
cameo.
the Green Lantern's no Darkseid's coming, and there's only one of them.
Yeah,
sent
that's
there.
bullshit.
Come on.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
All right.
Okay,
There,
all
there
right.
would have been there would have been 300 of them orbiting the planet. There'd have
Yeah.
been 100 on the ground. They
Yeah,
would have
exactly.
been doing
That-
work.
Especially if the anti-life equation is in play. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that.
That's me as a comic fan. It's like that's
No, you're right.
some bullshit.
Okay,
You're,
I also want to be.
100% unequivocally right.
I also want to be in the fly in the wall when somebody like in this like while they're making this turn to a comic book fan and says, "Hey, guess what? We got Kilowog. Oh, cool. Corpse."
Michael.
Because like
Nice.
there's
Nice.
like Kilowog appears in one scene, like, but it's just his dead body in like the flashback the flash forward nightmare sequence, and I'm like, oh,
It's a cameo.
you fucking disrespected
It's a
Kilowog like
cameo.
that. Fuck you,
Should
movie.
have laid Ryan Reynolds there.
I would actually be great
All right,
if they did that.
hold up. Are we all gonna like pretend that we weren't all super excited when we saw 2 seconds of some dude from another thing in whatever fucking Marvel movie popped up? Like just
Oh,
because
no.
there's a little cameo or
At least
reference.
they were
I'm-
alive.
I'm
Bob.
no,
First
we're
half.
saying
really?
we're saying it's not enough. We're not saying that we didn't like what we saw. We're saying it's not enough. The Green
never-
Lantern's presence is like it's big. It's not a small thing.
I do appreciate this film setting up Choi as the Atom.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
cool.
Awesome.
That was cool.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't do much now, but he's going to be doing stuff.
No,
so
no
that's
argument
good.
here.
I'm glad they're going with Choi over Paul. Like,
Yeah,
Palmer's a classic one, but
it's more
You know,
interesting.
like-
choice.
yeah, and representation matters. you know?
Absolutely, I agree.
Agreed.
Um,
I kind of
That's-
I really hope they bring in Jaime, Blue Beetle eventually.
I think
Ooh,
they are
that'd
making
be-
that.
And if
Yeah,
you
they are
wanted
making
another,
that.
if you like Martian Manhunter, which we're going to talk about, we are going to
Mhm.
talk about that.
We'll get
If they wanted another Deus Ex Machina, they could have had 2 of the star scientists collide into Firestorm there.
They could have,
You
yeah.
know?
All right.
If they want-
That would have been a little bit
All right.
too Marvel-y.
but then
yeah.
we're in CW territory, and that has a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, so we're going off on tangents here, and we wanted to talk about the little things about the movie that
Oh, yeah.
that bothered Michael.
Well, you can chime in with your own. All right. Never say
But
exclusive to me.
I did remember we still got to get to
I'm
the
I'm
final
ready for
sequences.
the end. I'm just riffing now.
Yeah,
I'm
I
ready.
want
for
to
the
talk
end.
about the final battle. I want to talk about Flashpoint, and then we could talk about the epilogue.
At least we have
I
one
don't-
sequence we can all agree on.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about the fucking last sequence, because that final battle was the shit that all of us were super excited for when we first saw the first trailer, and all that stuff was cut out of the final version of the movie.
Exactly.
And now we get it back in all its like half-hour long crazy action sequence glory with all the Snyderness epicness thrown into it. And I was fucking all in for it, the whole thing. I thought it was kind of funny in that moment when the Parademon pulls the fucking cover off of the Batmobile and
Yeah,
Batman
yeah.
literally just goes,
That was great.
That was pretty great. But I loved like the tag teaming, like the teamwork in there, fucking Aquaman kicking ass. Like there was so much cool shit in that sequence.
And it's a great parallel to when they fight Steppenwolf the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like Flash is, he's beyond hothead. He's kind of feeling himself, and then he trips, but by then they really get their shit together. I will say it got a little bit too MCU-ish for my taste. Like there's the not for the whole thing, but there were parts I'm like, yeah, this is still a superhero movie.
I don't think it's a bad thing though.
Like
Yeah.
there's the scene where the Batmobiles come in and like they're all freeze framing camera for a
Okay, I
second.
did
It
notice
was
that.
like
the
Yeah.
second time around.
I love stuff like that.
That was great.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
That was
kinda like-
cool.
like that.
I was kind of like, you know what? If Age of Ultron can have like 3 of them in there, I'm okay with Justice League having
Yeah.
one. You know?
And Age of Ultron, let's be real, only one of them really worked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And come on, that's
exactly.
the splash page.
Oh.
If you were reading a comic book version
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
battle, that would have totally been in there. You would have gotten that splash page with the whole crew like, yeah.
I just feel
I'm
it's
on
a
board.
little too comic booky. It's a comic book movie.
I was gonna say they're
No,
fighting demons
but-
from space, Chris.
I like
There's a
how you
fucking
close
character
your
named
eyes and were like,
Aquaman.
I know what I'm saying. I know what this sounds like, but hear me out. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like that really did feel like the big MCU crowd baits, the big superhero buy their shit at Walmart bait, you know, and it was very noticeable, and it was like,
See, that was
like
actually
it's a very minor nitpick. It doesn't ruin anything. But I'm just like,
Chris, I love how you say it. It's like a relationship talk. It's like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's bad for us.
I did not.
There you go. Exactly. Yes.
I didn't get as exhausted with it as I did with a lot of Marvel action sequences.
Yes.
Like,
true.
And I know I have differing opinions about Infinity War than fucking everybody. I hate it for a variety of reasons. But one of the things that did not work for me was that a lot of the battles in it just felt kind of boring and gratuitous in the wrong way. I don't know. There was something about them that didn't feel, it was like, oh, all right, now this one goes at him. Now they bring a moon down, but that still doesn't stop him. And then this one goes at him, and then this one goes at him. And this felt really dynamic. It felt like it was on a big open battlefield. It felt like each enemy, each hero was going at the enemies in their own way.
Yeah.
And each one had a place in the battle. And it was really easy. One of the things I love about how Zack Snyder shoots action sequences is he has an amazing mind for how these things are sequenced and framed. And no matter how crazy these sequences get, no matter how much is going on, you always know where everyone is and what they're doing. And you don't lose track of that. And that's something that a lot of action movies lose track of because they're just not that good. And, you know, like that's a problem some Marvel movies have, especially when you get to like the Civil War area and everything. Like when you get more bigger action sequences going. But this just felt really tight. It flowed well. It just felt really easy and enjoyable to watch.
It sounds
it
weird.
Didn't feel overloaded.
It sounds weird saying this about Zack Snyder, but it felt really reined in. In all its grandiosity, it did feel reined in, and
that's debatable.
About Marvel,
observation
about Marvel. Like, you know, as much as they are, when they finally have the X-Men in there, and then Hulk throws Wolverine for the fastball special.
Yep, the X-Men.
I will lose my shit. I will.
The X-Men Michael didn't think we were going to be there, but I told him it would literally 6 years ago.
You were right. Yeah. All right.
But when Hulk throws Wolverine
for
the fastball special for the first time, I will lose my fucking shit. But that's probably going to be the only thing about that scene I'll remember.
When they finally. No, go ahead.
When the Hulk eats Wolverine and Wolverine claws his way out of his stomach, that's when I'm going to lose my shit.
When they finally get Gambit and Rogue right, I will lose my shit.
Oh God, I know.
When the Hulk holds Wolverine's separated legs and like a wishbone and says, "Make a wish," before snapping him in half, that is when I will have my moment.
All right, you know what? If the MCU doesn't have Puck, it's shit as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's be real.
See, but that's another thing about the MCU is that they don't have. Being under Disney, it's extremely unlikely that we're going to see the darker side of the MCU.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that we got a superhero movie that has all this fucking blood and gore all over the place. Like, you had people you had them chopping the parademons in half and shit. There was some serious fucking blood in this battle. I enjoyed the shit out of that.
But DC has always had that over Marvel. Marvel is not, that's not their style.
Yes, but for an R-rated superhero movie, these days, the fact that Zack Snyder got to make this R-rated and go full indulgence with it and get as fucking bloody as he wanted, when Superman fucking cuts off Steppenwolf's horn and it just bleeds everywhere, like that was like, damn, that's fucking cool.
See, that's
like,
a case where that didn't really do anything for me. That didn't add anything. It just felt like, okay.
To me, I like I said at the beginning, I loved how they just passed him around, whooped his ass, and on the way out, Wonder Woman just chops off his head and fucking sends him back.
One final fuck you, man.
Yeah, like I thought that was the most gangster shit ever, because he's been talking shit about the Amazons the whole time, and she's just been taking it. You know what I mean? And then he's on the way out, and she's like,
By the way,
fucking turns. It just does him up. Love it. Love it.
Also, another point to this movie's merit is how throughout the movie, Steppenwolf repeatedly calls out Wonder Woman as being his one real adversary there, like the one person who could actually probably take him on. And when he says, like, this one's mine, I want to take her on one-on-one, that's such a cool fucking moment. That speaks to her power.
I did
wonder
like
why Joss Whedon cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Every fucking moment.
Interesting. Interesting,
says,
isn't it?
"Oh, hey, Wonder Woman's really fucking badass. I think that she's the only one worthy of fighting me head on."
Well, not only he kind of gave her a backhanded compliment, but at the same time, it's still a compliment. He was like, "Why weren't you there to protect the Amazons?" I think you could have.
Yeah, you could have. You weren't there to stop me.
Like that was fucked up.
He tops it off. He says, "You weren't there to stop me, and you could have."
Yeah, I was like, "That's fucked up."
That's
raw shit.
I did have a minor question how he knew his mother was there.
That's smart. That's fucking. I love that writing. That's great writing. That's great characterization. That's great credit given to the character while also mining their vulnerabilities. Like, that's amazing. That's really good.
Michael looks.
You can doubt all you want, Michael.
It's not doubting, it's just agreeing, sir. But I'm choosing to move on because we have other things to talk about.
It's your show. You're clear to be wrong. It's fine.
You like balloons, Muha?
You're gonna blow up your middle finger? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the beats during this battle, because I did not. Huh?
I'm like, how long have we been talking about this now?
I don't know. The Superman fight at the end was super visceral. I loved it. I loved everything about it.
That was cool.
They totally fixed that.
Yep.
Oh god, they fixed everything about this last sequence. It was exciting. It was intense. It was fun. It was enjoyable, and
there was real drama when he's trying to jack into the mother box, and he's like, "Oh,
exactly.
Whoa, it's too late."
When it finally clicks together and everything goes, pew, I was like, "Oh shit! Wait, what the fuck? Wait, did that happen? Did what?" And when it goes to the Flash, who to this point has been this incompetent newbie, and he realizes that this is the time that he really needs to fucking do what he needs to do. And he goes faster than light and does the turn back time thing. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I loved that. That fit the moment, and it carried the tension of the scene on. And even though it went into slow motion and had this like slower emotional moment, I still felt like it carried the heightened level of emotion that the rest of the scene had up to that point with the tension.
Yeah.
And this is the other moment where I broke down crying.
So
because there was, hang on, let me say this.
Go ahead.
I know that this part was probably shot and written before everything happened, but there's a lot of parental messages in this movie. And the fact that throughout the movie, you have the Flash refusing to give up on his dad. Mm-hmm. And you have his dad telling him that you are one of the best, and he doesn't believe him in himself, and he's just excited to be part of the crew. And throughout the movie, you have the other characters encouraging him and telling him to believe in himself. And you get to this moment where he realizes that he is the only one that can save everything, and gets his shit together and pushes himself beyond that point. In the context of before everything that happened, this was a father wanting to tell his kids that they could be the best of the best. If they just pushed, they were really capable of the things that he wanted them to be. But all I could think of was them watching the finished cut now and thinking of Autumn. And
damn.
That whole emotional meta picture, that fucked me up. That really fucked me up. When he said, "No matter what happens, Dad, I want you to know your kid truly was one of them, the best of the best." And then the other side of it, make your own past, make your own future. It's all right now. And of course, the obvious double meaning of it's all right now, like all of it matters in the present, and it's all right, meaning it's going to be okay. But that whole message of a father wanting that for his kids and having that be now after everything that happened, I fucking lost it, man. I fucking lost it. I broke down crying. I couldn't help it. And that just led me into the Cyborg moment after that. Like that just hit me on another wave. Like I again, when we're talking about what Snyder puts into his movies, some people may not connect with it. Some people might think it's overly emotional or vulnerable or cheesy, but it is sincere. And if you connect with that on a human level, there are very few movies that will give you something like that. And I have a hard time thinking of anything in the MCU before like WandaVision that felt even close to that kind of moment. There's so few things in the MCU that didn't feel corporate and like manufactured and overwritten. And there were certain emotional beats that hit, but nothing that felt as personal as this. Nothing felt this personal.
I can think of a few, but I can
as well. But I don't think we need to praise this film without tearing the MCU down. I don't think that's really fair because they're two very different entities. But I completely get.
Well, I mean, we were talking about WandaVision and how I just fucking broke down crying on the second to last episode of that. So like, fair. I'm not going to tear down everything MCU just.
But also remember, while you're talking about how DC has done this thing and Marvel hasn't, remember that WandaVision was written in advance of it being shot and seen, and it's a payoff from years of shit.
Fair. So, no, I understand that. I get that.
Yeah. So,
but it's a matter of the execution, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The execution felt pure in a way. And I'm not saying there aren't those moments in the MCU. I'm just saying like it's few and far between. Yeah. I definitely like, I don't know. I've talked at length about how I have my issues with like how manipulative I feel Civil War and Infinity War are and trying to connect with the audience and pull emotional moments out of them. Mm-hmm. The he killed my mom moment will forever live as a moment where I was just like, that is unearned and incredibly manipulative. And it's the polar opposite of how I feel about a moment like this.
Fair enough.
I feel like it was real and sincere. And
first of all, conspiracy theory, everybody knows your mom was Peggy anyway.
Jesus.
We're getting to fan fiction territory, man.
Shit.
Agent Carter is his mother. Everybody knows that. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Would that make Captain America his daddy?
Stepfather.
Stepdaddy.
His Captain America was the milkman.
I mean,
here to deliver your daily dose of super soldier serum, man.
Oh God. Anyway, Flash moment, really fucking amazing. I think one of the cooler superhero moments I've seen in a movie. It was also very visually striking.
I agree. The way they set it up was perfect. Again, acting wise, I do this. I gotta be a stickler for it. Ezra Miller is in his own movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when he tries to pull it back and keep it where it's at, like the weight, the gravity, it is never with him in the right proportion, in the right space at the right time. He's such a young actor. It's written all over his face. It's in his eyes. It's in his mannerisms. He's just not quite there.
That's definitely a scene where like I didn't get as much out of it, but I'm certainly not going to say you are wrong in your interpretation. I'm glad you got what you got out of it.
Yeah, I got the same thing that Muha got out of it. Yeah, I'm just saying that like performance wise, that could have been something we could have been looking at an Oscar nomination again for, certain parts of this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Had the right actor been in the right shoes.
And I never really thought Ezra Miller was a good fit for the Flash, at least
me neither.
In this interpretation.
Me neither. I think the older guy plays a better Flash than he does. His Speed Force version that's older than him that keeps giving him the warnings and shit. I think he's a good actor.
Too soon. Yeah, I know you're talking
about.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
Chris, did you want to say anything? Or are you good?
I think you all pretty much covered it.
All right.
I'll have to think about other superhero films, but in terms of this DCEU, that is the defining moment. Yeah. And I'm counting just that entire 15 minutes with also Cyborg at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Valid. With the Cyborg, that definitely puts it above. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really have anything to add. So good job, guys.
Appreciate it.
Now, going from high points to low points.
Hold on.
What am I missing yet?
Because the first part of the epilogue, which is the part that should have been the only part of the epilogue.
Okay,
The good
yes.
part of the epilogue.
Okay, good.
The montage of the characters.
You can ease our way into it.
Your father twice over. Because that...
Yeah, the father twice over thing was awesome.
Oh.
I think we're losing Muha though.
Muha
We have a
freeze.
player
Okay, it's not just
and-
me.
There
Okay,
we go.
There you go.
He's back.
him going back. Oh, my internet connection's unstable. That's weird. So the whole "your father twice over" thing, where he puts the tape back together and it plays the voiceover as it goes and looks at the different characters, you know, getting back to their lives and everything.
Mhm.
I like how it paid off with the Flash. You know,
Mhm.
getting the job at the criminology lab. Like, I like I just liked how they brought all of it together and had the different characters just tie their own stories up. And with it was this voiceover of family and believe in yourself and what you're capable of, and how love is just this force that is beyond everything else. There's this really great way of tying up the loose ends, especially with Cyborg's story, with, you know, what he wasn't prepared to accept from his father, and how at the end he finally has become self-realized and is ready to listen to that message and accept it. Like, I really appreciated that whole sequence. I thought that it was a really good ending to the movie. So my problem was when that was not the ending to the movie.
Well, and what I particularly like about that is a theme that you and I have been talking about all night, which is they're speaking about family as a past, present, future scenario, whether it has been absent or whether it is present. The Justice League are not quite there yet, and that's why it's meaningful, because it's aspirational, because the family has been missed so many times up to this point. So the way I hear his father talking is like, maybe this time we'll get it right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's worth trying.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. I like the fact that Batman went back to Wayne Manor and was talking about, like, we're going to fix this place up. We're going to make this the headquarters for the Justice League. And also the whole idea of leaving room for more people at the table. You know, I just like the idea. There's a lot of hope in the ending of this movie. There's a lot of earned optimism. I really liked it.
Agreed.
Now,
do you have nothing to say about the good part of the ending?
I thought it was fine. Like, I don't really have anything to add to
I
it.
knew you were gonna say it's fine.
It hit all the beats it needed to hit.
What do you want from me here?
You know what I want.
But yeah,
from
Chris,
you,
what do you think, man?
It hit all the beats it needed to hit, and one of my favorite parts was Cyborg removing his disguise. Not real much of disguise when half your face is, you know,
right,
shit. But
glowing.
Yeah, but symbolically, like, just coming to terms with that he is more human than machine. That's always been a good part of Cyborg. It's one of the best parts of the old Weeb Teen Titans show.
Yep.
So just anytime they do that with Cyborgs, that always makes me happy, and it just really tied everything in together.
Yep. And a good future going forward.
Yeah.
For whatever they decide to do with them, which is always good. It's open ended.
All right. So
let's take a commercial break, and then we'll go into most underrated performers of the film, Jared Leto. See you guys in a bit.
All right.
All right. So let's talk about the one thing we can all universally agree was absolute dog shit. The Nightmare.
Well, it's not even just the Nightmare itself. Like, I'm going to be honest, the ending with Lex Luthor kind of fell flat, and Deathstroke too.
And it was better than...
Which, like, it would have been like a note to end on, but not a note to end on, you know?
Well,
it was still there.
Yeah, were I the editor in this situation, because the editor does have control until the director looks at the cut. I would have put the boat sequence with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke in the beginning of the epilogue. To me, after they've saved the day and they're all doing that look, to start with Lex Luthor and get him out of the way and say, hey, where's Lex? That would have worked. Because then we could save the actual impactful shit for the true ending. You get what I'm saying? The settings of the boat with Lex Luthor and the settings of Martian Manhunter kind of rhyme. They look similar. Cut those two together, leave the real ending at the end. That's what I think.
So should we talk about Martian Manhunter before we get into the nightmare sequence, since we haven't really touched on that yet?
To me, the nightmare is an addendum. I'm not even sure it needs to be there.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about it a little bit, just because it is the new edition that I feel like people are going to expect us to talk about.
So just the one thing that's still kind of positive, because it was cool to see John. Where the fuck was he during all this?
I was wondering that too.
Wait, John?
John Jones, the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, he was the Colonel from the first two fucking movies.
he's been around the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, like, what he knows Darkseid's coming. He knew this shit was happening. Where the fuck was he?
Well, that's one thing, and I will say this, that so the origin part of Martian Manhunter, truly flawed, and not like who I think John is at all.
Yeah.
Right? That's one thing. But again, got to put my stamp on it again. For you to cast a man like Harry Lennox with the resume he has, and to summarily cut his importance out of 3 films, because he's in Batman versus Superman as well, and not mention at all that he's Martian Manhunter is criminal.
I agree.
Yes, it's more fucked. It's more fucked than the Green Lantern situation.
It's more fucked than what they did to John Boyega in Star Wars.
So let me get this straight. Joss Whedon cut 3 excellent black actors majorly out of this movie.
And keep in mind, the only new actor is Ray Fisher. He's the only unknown quantity. Harry Lennox has been around for decades. And Joe Morton is avant-garde, been around for decades. His first film was a indie film called Brother from Another Planet, and it completely shook up the whole film industry. Okay, he's been raw. He's been a dope actor. For y'all to do them like this is like, where are you at? And this is particularly fucked because of the contract that I signed with Warner Brothers. Okay. And I'm not going to get into details because I can't get into everything, but the emphasis that they put at, they gave me, like, I want to say about a 10 or 11 page contract when I was on the set in my trailer. And at the back of it, they did almost 5 paragraphs talking about how they wanted to turn over a new leaf. They want to be an inclusive company. They want to start working with people of color. That me signing this contract was a part of the change. Thanking me for my talent, thanking me for this, that, and the other. I barely did anything. And they gave me that. Okay? This is how you do the people you pay millions of dollars?
Yeah. And even then, like, the way the character is slapdashed in there is equally insulting on that same grounds. If you're going to have an actor of that caliber play this pretty seminal character and then just not use him, even in the original cut.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's baffling, especially since the context of it just adds so many more questions, not just the previous movies, but in the scene itself, and just feels like a slap together part of a movie for an iconic Justice League member. Like,
it's
seminal
so
original
insane.
team member.
I mean, remember when this was first being shot by Snyder, there was still the plan for 2 more Justice League movies.
That still doesn't forgive the sloppiness of the production.
I admit that it was sloppy, but I think that how little he was in it, even in this cut, is just part of, like, he wanted to set up more for the future.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it is like new versus
if I'm
I don't
the
know how
writer,
much of it is new.
If I'm the writer, I put him on the ass end of the battle with Steppenwolf when the mother boxes get connected, and I put him right next to the Flash telling him what to do.
Yeah.
That's where I put him.
That'd be appropriate.
Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I would not be surprised at all if this was something that was added after it was filmed now. I don't know that this was actually part of the original movie, and I feel like he just wanted to stick it in there just to be like, hey, what if Martian Manhunter if I got the next movie, but probably won't.
Well, hold up. I have a hard time believing you would hire Harry Lennox for something that wasn't of that magnitude. Mm-hmm. That's my only problem. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about Commander Locke from the Matrix. Mm-hmm. He already has a studio deal with Warner Brothers. That's a Warner Brothers trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't sign him up for something that infinitesimal unless you already have bigger plans for it. So
that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that they didn't have him lined up for everything.
Mm-hmm. Also, let's not forget, like, there is also the other thing to consider, that everyone that works with Snyder loves him. Yeah. Like, everyone, his cast and crew love him. He's a great guy to work for. So I wouldn't be surprised if Snyder just called him up and was like, hey, this is what I wanted to do with your character in the future. We might not get to. Do you want to just drop by and get paid a little bit to, like, film these 2 small scenes just to be like, this is what it would have been? I feel like it wouldn't be that far.
Maybe
out of.
I just know, like,
it's not that unimaginable that he would be willing to come in for like a day of work just to shoot these 2 short scenes.
No, I agree on that part, but I'm saying maybe they did that because the plan was this shit was happening.
No, I think this was the plan all along.
Yeah.
But given that this was the plan all along, I wouldn't be surprised if Zack Snyder got that $70 million to finish this movie and was like, hey, since we're probably not going to get to do the other stuff, do you want to just kind of stick this in there to give people a taste of what they would have been would be missing? Like, that's the vibe I'm getting from it. I don't think that it was like, oh, it's not that he would have utilized them. I feel like it was something tacked onto the movie at the end just because he had bigger plans and now there's a good chance he won't be able to do that. So why not just do this and be like, hey, fuck it, here it is.
Maybe, but I also feel like the placement it takes place in the actual story is also just really weird, and I don't really get why they chose that part to put it in, because like the first time we see Martian Manhunter in there is right after the scene that I actually liked of Ma Kent going to talk to Lois and they're grieving together and they're talking about their shared experience having Clark, and then all of it is immediately undermined by revealing that it is actually Martian Manhunter in disguise, which already doesn't play into anything, but it also like ruins any kind of emotional effect and raises a lot more questions, because it means at some point Martian Manhunter, instead of just, I don't know, being the Colonel, talking to Ma Kent, telling her that Lois is in trouble, goes over there, reads her mind to get accurate information about her farm, and then transforms into Ma Kent to tell Lois this for some reason.
And risk it. He knew that she was the key to getting Superman back on their side after he was resurrected.
But her being there when Superman came back was circumstantial, not because of that conversation.
Well, yeah. What Michael is trying to say is that we have no idea that John is following them because there is no mention of him anywhere, but he clearly knows the scenario and what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But we don't even know he's there until we're talking about 3-4 films. We don't know he's there.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
You know?
I agree with that, but I think that it was meant to be a big reveal that we just won't get the full planned power of at some point. And I think this was an interesting way to show that he's involved. I do agree that I liked the emotions that I was feeling from the Ma Kent and Lois Lane scene before I found out it was Martian Manhunter, and then I was like, come on.
Light bulb. I know how you fix Martian Manhunter. And you leave Ma Kent alone. Mm-hmm. John is the cop she keeps bringing the coffee to.
Yes. I would actually 100% agree.
I just fixed it.
I actually completely agree with that. That would make it a lot more interesting.
I just fixed it. This is why they pay me the big bucks.
But again, I feel like it was just stuck in at the end.
I mean,
it was a lot harder to shoot something like her interacting with the cop directly than have, him transform in an empty hallway outside. Like it was the easiest way to stick that in there. They didn't have a lot of time, and when we get to the nightmare scene, they really were not trying as hard.
I do say one thing I kind of appreciate just on a weird level is just the look on Bruce Wayne's face when he just walks out and sees Martian Manhunter and say, yeah, this might as well happen.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, okay, I guess.
Like, do you want some coffee? I'm going to make some coffee.
It's like, oh, a green dude floating outside. I suppose that's
Like this might.
I mean, after going through everything with Darkseid and Steppenwolf, I would think that that's about the reaction he would have.
Here's the real question
Yeah.
about that whole coffee thing. Was it chocolate coffee? If not, then they fucked up.
Damn some Oreos.
So I do want to say this because I talked about how representation matters. Michael and Ron might be more into this. With more recent years, the quote unquote race of the Martian Manhunter has been, for some reason, a really stupid debate.
Are you serious?
Going on. Well, because originally
he's a green shape-shifting alien, isn't
he?
Like,
people were pissed. Well,
Jesus.
The area of contention is that through most of his animated appearances, which is where like he really got his big push to non-comic readers,
right,
was that it was very clearly black men voicing him, but people were pissed because it's a white disguise, which is a really fucking stupid thing to get pissed over.
That is really stupid.
I don't understand.
So when the Arrow happened, there was some controversy over changing the character too much, and because we all know how reasonable people get if a character is
I've
not
seen John
white.
play a black. Did I imagine John playing a black dude at one point?
Yeah.
Him
that's become more recent. That's become more recent because of this, and I really like that they stuck their ground. And as Zack Snyder said, there's no room for hate in these types of fandoms.
Well, yeah,
and I think that's a very important message. Just to send
I hate to break it to you guys, but Samurai Jack is Phil Lamar, guys.
Yeah, I know.
But by the way, not only has he played Samurai Jack, he's actually played Aquaman.
Yeah. In JLU.
He's played a bunch of people.
Injustice.
Yeah, and I hate to break it to y'all, but what you thought you heard, you did not hear. Okay, like. He played. Matter of fact, I think he played Jon Stewart and a couple of white dudes.
He's done a bunch of voice acting, just like minor roles. But those aren't minor roles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like incidental characters and stuff, and also major characters.
Yeah.
This is probably a weird thing to bring up. I just think it's really important that
it's interesting.
It's not weird at all, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on this.
Through this minor controversy, that they really stood their ground, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna have a black actor do it." I think that's really good.
Right, and let me add something else. While representation does matter, the quality of that representation matters more.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will never be accepted and welcomed.
Yes.
It matters that you chose Harry Lennox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It matters that you chose a black actor and he has a well-respected resume and history of films going back 20, almost 30 years. That matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the end, to the people that need to accept these new things that are happening, that will matter to them. And that's what's important. Yeah. The representation, the black kids seeing themselves on the screen, that definitely matters to us. But to the closed-minded people, the resume, the qualifications matter even more. We need that.
Man, it reminds me of it's kind of sad to think of now, but the thing that comes to mind is when everyone got mad before The Force Awakens when John Boyega got cast. And they're like, a black stormtrooper doesn't make sense. And when they asked him to respond to it, he just said, like, I have one thing to say about that, and that's get used to it. And then,
yeah, turns out Disney wasn't too sure about it either.
Yeah, but I do like that
Fuck
is
y'all.
Like, why not just, it's my fucking movie. I'm gonna put these good people in there. And I know that this matters. This is one of the things that makes me, this goes back to what we were talking about before in regards to Zack Snyder, being a good dude. Like, I fundamentally believe that he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Is, aside from all the testimonies of his staff, like, he makes these choices. He actively makes these choices to have these narratives in his films, and he understands things about them and gives those actors room to breathe in ways that you don't really see everywhere. I really like that.
But yeah, to me that's highway robbery. It's a crime.
Okay.
I'm glad we got it back.
I think we've avoided the topic long enough. Let's just talk about it. The Nightmare.
Jared Leto fucking sucks. He sucks in everything. He is a terrible actor, terrible musician, terrible person. I really would be okay with never seeing him in anything.
But Chris, what about
I'll tell you this?
But
I'll
I'm
tell you
not.
this.
I'm not that harsh. But I'm gonna give him the same to a bigger extent because he's been in the industry longer. I'm gonna give him the Ezra Miller treatment. That dude is just in his own fucking movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just does not care.
He was
okay.
He was better than he was in Suicide Squad, I guess.
Because he had like 2 minutes of screen time. Give him more time, he'll fuck it up.
No.
We do not want to give him
laying down on a giant question mark made of knives, going.
Yeah. Although I do like what Batman said to him though. I dig those lines.
See, like,
I dig those.
I did have some issues with that.
I will fucking kill you.
Like, the funny thing, interesting about that is, I was talking to you about this the other day. Is there's another case where like I don't really know. I'm willing to blame Leto more on this than Snyder. To be fair, is the fact that the Joker's reaction to that just felt really weird to me. Because Batman has a big monologue about how he's gonna kill him, he's gonna make it slow, and he's gonna make him suffer, and like Joker acts legitimately scared before saying, "Oh, you almost got me." I'm like, Joker would think that's fucking hilarious.
They are in the end times, and like
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
funnier.
And my big problem with this is a mixture of the writing and acting with him. But it's Joker. Okay, get it through your head. Okay, this was a masterful performance by the last person who played Joker. We all know this.
Yeah.
Okay, but get it through your fucking head. Joker is not aimless.
Yeah.
Okay. Joker is an anarchist. Joker is a lot of things. He is not aimless. Just because you're an anarchist doesn't mean you don't have goals and you don't have motives and you don't have means to get to those motives.
He's a psychological terrorist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stop trying to play this dude like he's just an anything goes kind of guy. He's never been that.
No.
Never.
Even like Joker's biggest goal for a long time has just been to psychologically break Batman. So that to hear Batman go, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," is like, it's about fucking time, is what the Joker would realistically say. Like, fucking do it. I want you to do it. Like, I want you to make it last. Like, I will laugh my ass off to the day.
Yeah, to me in my brain, Joker does everything he does in Gotham for two things. He either wants to make Batman laugh or he wants Batman to kill him. I think those two things are the end game for Joker. If he makes Batman laugh, he probably see no use for him. He probably kill him.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. If he got Batman to kill him to prove that his version of the world is right, then that's the end game for him too. I feel like those are the only two reasons why he does shit. But the contrived shit that he puts together to get these things done is what makes him special.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
you know,
like, even his most sadistic form, he's always just had this feeling of just like, if I can just get him to act like me for a little bit,
right?
That would be so amazing. And like that's why I feel like this interpretation in particular has always been like insulting, and just overly pretentious. With Jared Leto's look the entire time of, I'm nailing this.
It feels like he's in an acting class and he don't know, like they gave him the script for the first time. He doesn't even know what character he's playing. He doesn't know the other character. Like, he's in his own fucking movie. He's in his own movie, man.
Have any of you guys seen Barry?
I know of
the TV series.
I know the TV show you're talking about.
I've seen the first season.
Okay, in the first episode where Barry goes like kill the actor and he forces him to be in a scene with him instead, and it cuts to him and he's like wearing these awful dreadlocks. He's talking this awful accent that's probably racist, and he's just overacting the shit out of that scene while Barry looks like he has no idea what to do. I feel like that's Jared Leto on the set for whatever time he plays a Joker.
Oh man, I'll say the scene just felt. I know that it was shot afterwards. I know that it's tough to get all these actors back in these mindset just for one scene when they don't have the rest of the movie around them. But I felt like it felt unpolished. It felt both from the script writing to the cinematography. The camera was way too close to most of them.
Yeah.
Really
oddly
to like just the framing of the characters, to the lines that they had, and even how they delivered them. It felt like they didn't do enough takes. It felt like they weren't in the groove. Like it just felt weirdly out of place.
Should we pause?
It felt like they.
Okay.
We're gonna pause.
We can pause. All right.
No joke, you know.
So my issue with the epilogue is it felt like they needed a tease when they already had the tease.
It's like a tease behind a tease. Yeah.
Tease behind a tease. Like you could have done, like we talked about how to kind of make the Lex Luthor or Deathstroke thing better. But like when you have a setup for that, you set up for the people who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But like you show Deathstroke and then the next scene he's allies with Batman. Only people who actually knew about that beforehand would get excited about that, you know?
Yeah, and even then, like for some reason, Deathstroke has I have a mohawk now. I've been through some shit. It's
post-apocalyptic now. It's how they do.
I've seen. This is what you do in post-apocalypse.
I don't think it worked that well, but I understand what they were trying to do, and I'll begrudgingly give it a pass, even if it's not. When I watch it again, I'm not going to rewatch that part. Probably, it's just this thing where he knows that it was very unlikely that he was going to get a Justice League 2. Yeah. And he just wanted to be like, hey, how about a preview sequence of what you would have gotten? Like, at least drop all of this exposition very clunkily from all these characters and have them kind of like, oh, what happened to Aquaman? What's wrong? What's wrong with Aquaman? Why isn't he around? Why is she so mad? They did something to Aquaman? Oh, what about... We know Lois Lane, something happened to her. Is she died because of Batman? Oh no, that's so bad. Oh, and I will say the one thing that I did like, and I know that it was projecting, it was foreshadowing something that Michael told me was going to happen later, which is kind of like, whoa. But when Jared Leto tells Batman that, just admit to yourself the number of times you've let things get so much worse because you have been afraid to die yourself for it, or something like that. I thought that was such an interesting.
Well, yeah, he said, how many alternate universes do you fuck things up because you're unwilling to just end the world yourself or something?
52
like
months.
No, willing to die to stop. Like the idea is that Batman's too much of a pussy to like actually die for the ideals that he espouses. Like he's not willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to save everyone, and that's what has led to the downfall of everything, especially this time. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to say to Batman, because
don't read the recent Batman comics then, because they kind of answered that question.
Well, this Joker, this version of the Joker, whatever version of the Joker Snyder was planning on making, does do that thing where he has kind of a psychological hook into Batman, and he knows how to cut deep and like get between the ribs with him. And I kind of like that. I like that about it, at least. But there's not a lot to like about it, but I like.
To me, it's meandering though.
I agree.
It seems aimless. It seems like they're just shooting a shit cut just cause. Yeah. That's not Joker's style.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get Batman's responses. I don't get why Joker's saying it.
Yeah. Like, what is Joker?
Especially
especially if he's afraid of him killing him, apparently. Which is like,
especially when you have Cyborg say like, we can't stay out here too long. He's gonna find us, and they stay in the same spot for like 10 minutes just talking.
And then they decide to have this black box theater acting exercise from Arthur Miller.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Where they sit down and fucking.
You know, it'd been great.
It was like a soap opera recap. What the fuck are you guys telling us all this for? But like, that's the thing. I know that he wasn't going to get his next movie, and he was going to be like, you know what? I don't even care about making it that good. I just wanted to show you guys what I was thinking about. So, I'm like, cool. I'm just not going to watch that part again.
If you were just going to go do whatever the fuck you want with this, is get Will Arnett back for like one moment to be Batman. No, hear me out. Just so when Mira starts talking about they're gonna pay for what they did to Arthur, just have Will Arnett go, were you always British? I don't remember if you were always British.
No, do fucking have him hire him for the Flash movie. where they're going to have the Flashpoint stuff. Like hire him for the Flash movie, have the multiverse shit
like
happen.
Lego Batman shows up.
Yeah, just have, or at least the voice of Lego Batman, just off screen or something. It's like, what am I doing here? Oh, hang on, I'm leaving. Like just like some basic cameo or something.
Sorry, Ron, I know you don't like Will Arnett.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, but fuck, the nightmare sucks. We can all agree on that at the very least.
Yeah, there's some people who liked it. I think those people are standing a little too hard.
Well, yeah,
it's objectively not as good.
To me, it sucks because it's unnecessary unless you give us other pieces.
See, we ended this review with unity, guys. We did it. We all agree on something.
We agreed on a lot of shit.
For the sake of the joke, that's what I'm going with.
The spirit of Superman carried through Snyder's cut, even to the review. In the end, we all came together.
In 3 hours.
And hating Jared Leto.
Hate's a strong word. I can't use words like that. But
I try to use hate in regards to like people, like actors as people. I more like as their career. I don't like their choice.
Sure. Career. Yeah. Anyway, do we have anything else we want to say?
I feel like we've covered.
The cat's getting impatient.
As much.
So I do have like a little thesis statement that I wanted to come in and say for a moment.
I like how Chris said that, and the moment he raised his hand and said, "I have a thesis statement," the remaining timer just popped up.
Yep.
So when I said, now that I think about it after the fact, I do like this a little bit more than I initially said. Where it's like it was good, but I had issues. On rewatch, I could easily see this getting just better. What I really, truly, truly respect about this is another film I had mixed feelings but also respected was The Last Jedi. In that these are big Hollywood franchise films where directors are allowed to actually have a vision. And the fact this got made, and let's think about like the auteur-driven New Hollywood movement, 60s, 80s. You saw some of the big names like Cruisin' and Heaven's Gate, which were failures, and that's when studios started to get like a little bit cold feet about it before we went back to the more producer-driven post MTV film movement and stuff. The last major hurrah before studios said fuck that was the original Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
What company fucked up Blade Runner? Warner Brothers.
No shit.
So it's all kind of coming full circle, and for as much or as many misgivings I have about Zack Snyder still, this film definitely gave me a lot more respect for him as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
If Zack Snyder is the one who's able to make this a huge success, that lets people know that there is space for stuff like this in these giant franchises, then kudos to Zack Snyder.
You're right. Nothing but good will come of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I personally, when there were people who tried to talk to me about how they were worried about how this would validate the toxic fans, I get that, but I'm not gonna let those fucking assholes take the victory of artistic integrity over studio meddling and just crushing capitalism. I love that.
Another point about that is when Zack Snyder appeared on Geeks and Gamers, and said, like, I'm not affiliated with that. Stop the hate. That's bullshit. So initially, this was reported to me is that he called out the fandom menace for liking and sticking to his films out of spite, wanting them to succeed just to spite the others. But the more I looked into that, the more that came from like the fandom menace, those sources themselves, putting those words into his mouth.
So he didn't really say that.
Making their own narrative.
And I think the fact that's how they took that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I saw what he said. Yeah. And the way it was reported, it made me want to go back and look at it because I don't remember him saying anything of that nature. I remember him saying he wasn't affiliated, and I remember him making a statement as, let's use this to come together. But I don't remember him directly attacking anyone.
So only those outrage, like only those outrage, nerd culture, you know, they're basically just friends for the alt-right. Those are the only persons who said that. And I think that
I was gonna say
and that admission speaks volumes to them. And this, I want to echo what Muha said, that we shouldn't let them feel validated for somebody else's artistic integrity.
Exactly.
I completely agree. Yeah. And just to add on to that, despite my misgivings with the Snyderverse and everything that I've said, and even though I didn't quite get the experience you guys did, even though I do agree that it does get better on a second rewatch, I will say that I'm glad this movie exists. I'm glad it was allowed to be created in the way that it was intended, even if it doesn't fully agree with my personal taste. I think Snyder went through a horrible tragedy and got horribly screwed by a greedy company, and he got the justice he deserved. Do I fully condone all the ways in which that happened? No. But am I still glad that it happened and he got to create his artistic vision the way he wanted to do it? Absolutely. And I am so glad that came together, because he got caught in like the worst unique situation you could possibly get in this industry, in a way that nobody fully recovers from ever. I don't care who you are.
Not to mention, like, the level, like, studio scumminess is pretty common, but the level of scumminess to take advantage of a situation like that is just,
it's immoral,
incomprehensible. It's so repugnant.
And the way they allowed the vitriol to go in his direction when they knew what he was dealing with was very personal. Is just heartless. It's just heartless.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, my point I'm trying to get at here is that despite whether you love it or hate it, this is an artistic achievement.
It is definitely, and it is superior filmmaking.
It is. So
I have to
it
say,
is an artistic vision.
Yeah.
It is his vision uniquely, and I do respect that.
So like he does get a lot of respect, does get a lot of chops from me, and like for that reason alone, I have a huge amount of respect for this film, even if it's not really my thing.
And onto this, this is a giant, big franchise film that came out the way this did. Same with The Last Jedi. Although I'm still kind of on Last Jedi, but still I respect the hell out of it for what it did.
It's the best Star Wars movie.
These
today, guys.
These people,
Muha's wrong, but there are some good parts of it.
The fact, the matter is like, I personally believe this, and I probably only have anecdotal evidence to back it up, but the mass consumer, when given the opportunity to expand their horizons, actually do have broader tastes.
Yeah.
And stuff like this and more big franchises like this, that's only good to help expand them even more.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is overall, it's a good thing.
Can I do my prediction now?
Can be argued against.
Yes, we'll end on Ron's prediction.
I was gonna say, what is Ron's big prediction?
Okay. So here's
the
big prediction. Okay, so a lot of stuff has been thrown around about the DC universe from Zack Snyder being officially put to bed and put to rest after this, and nobody's gonna do anything. First thing you should know is the indicator that is bullshit is the film itself coming out. Mm-hmm. They buried it once already, and they decide to unearth it, put millions of more dollars into the special effects, and release it on their flagship platform. Ding 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 ding, red flag. They're bringing it back. Okay, that's number one. Number two, here's how it's going to come back. All the timeline will be created based on the success or failure of Black Adam. Black Adam has just gotten announced. Okay, The Rock is perfect to play Black Adam.
Yes, he is.
It on the surface it looks like everything's going to go perfect, except one thing. The corner of the DC universe that is tied to Black Adam has already been designated as comedy. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Production issues are going to happen. Producers are going to fight. Writers are going to change scripts. I'm going to give it a 20-30% chance that Black Adam tanks. If that happens, the DC universe with all the Justice League is coming back for sure. 100%. Book it. I'm calling it right now.
I've also heard rumors
within
that
2 years, we'll see another Justice League movie.
I've also heard that with the numbers that this is doing on streaming,
it's doing
even though it was forced by AT&T, even WB is kind of thinking like maybe because I see money. So
right. Well, see, here's the indicator. I hate to be so ruthless, but let's put the producer hat on. Let's put the
it's money.
But this is called show business, not show friends. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The number one thing on the minds of the people who put out the Snyder Cut is not artistic integrity. It's not even money. It's not even how many people watch it. It's keeping their jobs. Okay. The turnover for a Hollywood executive is 2 years at best. They come and go. It's a revolving door. Okay. Every single executive producer that you see is trying to put their mark on the industry. So the next time that they get a job, they can say, well, I did this. You get what I'm saying? The people that brought Snyder's cut to life, this is more than just a feather in their cap. Deals are being made on this as we speak.
I'll doubt it.
Nice. Okay. And the Snyder Cut will result in the revitalization of the DC universe under Zack Snyder. You can book it. It's coming.
I fucking hope so. This changes a lot.
I would watch more of these.
I'm not sure I would, but I will because I have to.
All right. And with that said.
Okay, so this is gonna be a weird add-on. The Zoom call ended.
Kind of like the nightmare. It's fitting. We all found our unity point, and now we're gonna have our really weird, kind of awkward add-on to wrap things up. And
wait, hold on.
Well, technically,
hang on. Wait, let me get the proper cinematography.
He could cut this to where this is before the ending.
Like, Muha, say something.
Michael, we need to do the ending.
Is that so? Muha.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
We can't leave it like this.
Muha, what do you know about endings? Oh, he knows a lot about endings.
You know what I know about endings? I fucking kill them.
And how many alternate universes did you end this properly?
Guys, we have to end this before they find me. All right, this is now just terrible. Hey, more parallels. Anyway, yeah. So that was
an odyssey.
This,
we started
7 hours ago.
It's
not 7, 4 hours ago.
But you know what? It was worth it. The movie was worth it.
Yeah, like this.
This is cool.
Better than I thought it was going to.
About it.
So I was expecting much more of a clusterfuck.
I told you, Michael. I told you it would last this long. You didn't believe me.
I know.
But I told you it would last this long.
To be fair, I thought it was going to be a lot more argumentative, so I was a lot more like, I'm going to put a cap on this early.
I'm honestly surprised that, it makes sense, but I'm surprised at how smoothly the whole thing flowed.
Well,
yeah,
no, for sure. And this is not, honestly, this is not a polarizing film. What it is it's an enlightened film of a polarizing film. It's an enlightened version of a polarizing.
Yeah, that's a good note.
I don't think the original was that polarizing. I think everyone kind of
it was at first.
That it kind of sucked.
It was at first. A lot of people
really?
defended religious.
It was polarizing in the metrics that mattered to the point where this might not get made.
No. Okay. Well,
right.
Yeah. In any case.
So with that Odyssey complete, I think that's all we got.
I'm really happy that we got to do this.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. This was
if and when this does come. Yeah, if and when this does come to the IMAX theaters, I'm going to be first in fucking line.
First, thanks for coming back.
I will pay
it was
so
good
much
to have
money.
you back on the show.
Yeah. This made me miss it.
If you want to come back permanently, just let me know.
Come watch movies. Watch some movies and come talk to us about it. That's really
it was good having you, man.
Why can't we
older and wiser and stuff.
Michael, now that you're here, how about why can't we all get together to do like a Criterion a month or something?
You know,
I said this. Yep. I fucking said this.
I'd be down for that too, man.
I'd be down for a panel of that. Yeah,
dude. They fucking just released the Bruce Lee trilogy.
What?
Yeah, it's like $200, but it's probably worth it.
Oh, you know we
really
just
had their flash sale. Just wait for the 50% off. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would love to see the remasters of those. But yeah, I would be really interested in doing like more classic films. More, yeah, he got the Toho set. That
Yeah, sick.
open that shit up. Open that shit up.
Sure.
Show us the. God, that's beautiful.
Oh wow.
Fucking
Oh my
majestic.
God. I need to pin you. Holy shit.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, no, Criterion doesn't fuck around. I appreciate them so much. But yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to keep doing our indie movies. Just I would love to do more things that are not just the new releases and everything, you know. So
Yeah.
Yep. And
dig in.
on Ron and I's side, we're working on Miss Marvel video right now.
We are. Although I will tell you that this week has been shit, and I've got little to no work done because
We have plenty of time. We have.
as soon as I start working, everybody makes demands on my time, and it's maddening. It's like nobody wants to talk to me until I'm working on shit.
Take your time, man. I know the product's always fantastic. I'm just very excited about this one because it's the first one we've recorded in like 7 months.
For
So I'm
sure.
very excited to get back into publication.
Good shit, man.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's gonna be good.
And the reruns are running on my Twitch channel.
Yes, we are.
Hey.
We're putting the editorials and syndication on what is it?
Nice.
Not Twitch TV, Ellsworth TV, ETV. That's what-
ETV.
Good shit.
I got it right eventually.
Nice.
All right, cool. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this 3-hour odyssey. Hope you guys got something out of it. And we'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for watching the million ads I'm going to put in this thing. Bye.
Peace out.